Hello there. I'm Sean Wiesemann, host of RedHawk Radio's Kickoff show for today's game against the Northwestern Wildcats here at the new temporary stadium at the Lanny and Sharon Martin Athletics Facility near Lake Michigan. As a typical stadium, Ryan Field is under extensive renovations. To give you some context about the history between these teams, I have to take you back to September 24th, 2022, when Graham Nicholson, with 21 seconds, lined up to take a 36-yard field goal to win the game. I'll let Miami alum Patrick Gation give you the call.
Ball on the right hash of the field. Graham going to kick this one away. The sophomore from Cincinnati. 36-yard attempt from Graham Nicholson. 26 seconds to go to try to break the tie. Play clock reads 15. Snap is good. Kick is in the air. It is good! Graham Nicholson sinks it through the uprights. And with 19 seconds to go in the fourth quarter, Miami 17, Northwestern 14 at Ryan Field in Evanston.
With that 17-14 win, the RedHawks secured their first win against a power conference opponent since 2007, an identical 17-14 win at home versus Syracuse University, and helped propel the RedHawks, who just a couple of games earlier were reeling from the loss of their starting quarterback Rick Gabbert in the first game of the season, to an appearance in the Bahamas Bowl against Alabama Birmingham. As for this matchup, the expectations for the RedHawks team are significantly higher than last time. While the RedHawks sustained multiple notable losses in the transfer portal to power conference teams such as Ole Miss, Alabama, Oklahoma, and South Carolina, the Red and White returned multiple massive contributors, including returning the reigning MAC Defensive Player of the Year linebacker Matt Salopek and sixth-year starter quarterback Brett Gabbert, who, despite missing the last 6 games of the season with a gruesome leg injury in the first game against Toledo, still earned third-team All-MAC honors. Returns 13 other starters from a team that won 11 games in a Mid-American Championship, and also brought in multiple power conference transfers from Indiana, Purdue, Florida State, and Arizona State to augment an already very skilled and experienced roster. This is a team that was voted by coaches in the annual coaches poll to repeat in the Mid-American, which would be the first time since the Northern Illinois Huskies and Heisman finalist Jordan Lynch won the 2011 and 2012 MAC championships. Chuck Martin had more to say about the expectations heading into this season.
Yeah, no, we're excited. We got a great nucleus led by Brett and Matt here today. So it's they've been here a long time. They played a lot of football. They've helped us win a lot of games. They're two great players, but there's a lot of other returning cast for us that we're excited to have back and get ready to start this season. So we're in a really good place with who we have coming back, and we're excited to go and play some great football this fall.
Northwestern head coach David Braun has even acknowledged the challenge of this particular Miami team, and the Wildcats will not be underestimating them, as Braun told the Daily Northwestern, quote, "Miami is a great team. Miami's not walking in here, tiptoeing around and scared of playing a Big Ten opponent. We understand that this is a darn good football team that's showing up with every intent of finding a way to win." Now, we can discuss a couple of notable stories and injuries for Miami. Running back Kenny Tracy is out. He was the expected starter, given that he had the most snaps at running back a year ago, and looks like it'll be a running back by committee approach, with Kevin Davis, Keon Mosey, Jordan Brunson, and a Purdue transfer in Dylan Downing all to potentially get touches. Here's what head coach Chuck Martin had to say about the group back in July.
Russian Kenny does everything well. Kenny runs well. He blocks well. He catches the ball at extremely high levels. So he was the complete back. Keon Mosey had a great year. Didn't get as many touches as a lot of kids deserve because Rashad took a lot of the touches. But Mosey, we expect big things. He's all he's got to do is continue to improve on his pass blocking and his receiving, which he's working very hard on, and hold on to the football. He's a dynamic runner. He is a lightning quick. So we are really excited about Mo and what he brings to the table and having a really good senior. Kevin Davis, the Swiss Army knife we talk about. He's a really good running back. He catch the ball. He can run the ball. We can split him out at receiver.
Right.
He made a bunch of big plays for us a year ago, and again, probably not as many touches as he deserved because of Rashad, because of Gage. Took a lot of touches,
Sure.
So Kevin's a guy that's played a lot of football. I remember his first game, COVID year against Ball State, made a huge catch on a wheel route. I'm like, this kid's a good player. This kid's a true freshman making plays. So he's, whenever given the opportunity, he's made plays. He's primed for a big senior year. Jordan Brunson's also returned. Jordan's coming. Jordan's got 2 years left. Jordan has some Rashad-type physical tools, and he has as much or more speed. The game has come along slowly for Jordan. He has really picked up. Him and Coach Welsh are really doing good things together. I think he's going to be a bigger piece of the puzzle this year and could be the go-to guy a year from now when all these seniors graduate. Then we've added Dylan Downing, a transfer from Purdue, but he's from Carmel High School in Indiana, where the list of names that from Carmel goes on and on and on. And we still got Ty and him now, so he played with Ty in high school. And Dylan can do it all. He's kind of like Kenny. He can run, he can catch, he can block. There's no jobs. He plays ST like Kenny. He's just a really, really good football player.
Another position to note is the wide receiver room. This was a room that lost a lot of experience, with leading receiver of the MAC, Gage Larvin, gone to South Carolina, and players Joe Wilkins Jr. and Miles Marshall both having graduated. In to replace their production, Arizona State transfer Andre Johnson and Indiana transfer Cam Perry. However, on the depth chart, the two transfer wide receivers were listed considerably lower than most expected. Junior Reggie Virgil is listed higher on the depth chart at wide receiver. Virgil has only 2 career catches, both of which, however, were 25-plus yarders. Also of note, speaking of transfers, not a single first-year transfer is listed as a starter on the depth chart, which goes to show the emphasis on recruiting and developing that is emphasized by Chuck Martin and his staff. In summary, this is a very talented football team, one in which Northwestern will certainly be preparing, much in the same way they would against a Big Ten opponent. The expectations are the highest they've been in decades for this Miami team that opens with their first of 3 straight power conference opponents, the only school in the country to do so. With 15 returning starters, multiple impact players on offense, defense, and even special teams, and an experienced and deep roster, the Miami RedHawks look to take the Mid-American and the country by storm, and potentially compete for a berth in the college football playoff. Now, let's discuss the Big Ten's Northwestern Wildcats, a team that has a very compelling story. From 2021 to 2022, former head coach Pat Fitzgerald won just 4 games combined, but his status as a legend as both a player and a coach kept him in Evanston for another season, a season he and his team knew he had to capitalize upon. In 13 total seasons at a school not traditionally known for winning a lot of football games, especially in the Big Ten, Fitzgerald coached 9 winning teams and one team that finished the season at 500. However, Fitzgerald, who won 109 total games and had 64 Big Ten conference wins, both of which were school records, was fired just weeks before the season. On July 7th, 2023, Fitzgerald was suspended for 2 weeks by University President Michael H. Schill after an independent investigation confirmed allegations made by a player in November 2022 that hazing, including assaults by varsity players, occurred while Fitzgerald was aware, among a variety of allegations. Less than a month later, Fitzgerald was fired. Because of this, the Northwestern Wildcats came into the 2023 season reeling. As a result of Fitzgerald's dismissal, the newly hired defensive coordinator from North Dakota State, David Braun, was tabbed to lead the Wildcats with less than a month before their season starting. Betting sites had the over-under win total for the squad at 3 wins, and with a new head coach so soon before the first game of the season, it looked conceivable that the purple and white might comfortably hit the under. Instead, however, they massively overachieved. Northwestern finished the regular season with a 7-5 record, the most wins for any first-year Northwestern football coach since 1903, and qualified for a bowl game for the first time since 2020. Braun was named the 2023 Big Ten Coach of the Year for his turnaround of the program. And to top it all off, he led his team to a victory at the Las Vegas Bowl against the Utah Utes, with Braun being the first Northwestern head coach to lead a team to a bowl in his opening season. After the enchanted first season, in which David Braun captured a magic penchant for finding a way to win in close games, he's hoping to replicate this underdog status for the new season.
Expectations from afar from those who, I guess, making projections and predictions don't seem to be very high. Is that something that you and the players welcome and embrace with how it seemed to work at your advantage last year?
Absolutely. I think there's 2 things to that. I think that's right where the Cats want to be. Chip on our shoulder, a little bit of edge to us, underdog mentality in the way that we move every single day, and also coupling that with an understanding that the worst thing we can do is pay attention to the outside noise, any interference that could get in our way.
Braun has continued to preach that underdog mentality even as the squad looks to be a potential bowl team. A couple of notable injuries and stories to watch for the Wildcats here. For starters, just days before the season opener, Braun declined to publicly name his starting quarterback, opting to keep the decision in-house. He said redshirt sophomore Jack Lausch and graduate student and Mississippi State transfer Mike Wright entered camp battling for the top spot, and the victor will be revealed come game time. Here's what he had to say about it.
David, are you going to name a starting quarterback, and is there any information on that position that you can share?
Yeah, Mike Wright and Jack Lausch entered into fall camp, competing for that role. Been really impressed with the development of that room over the course of camp. Between Jack and Mike, Ryan Helinski has shown some really good things. Awfully excited about Ryan Bowe, first year in our program from Batavia. But in terms of publicly, there probably won't be anything out there until game day.
Given how little the difference in skill set is between the two, with both being tremendous runners, it will be intriguing to see who the starter is. Additionally, redshirt junior starting corner Ore Adaye appears to be out for the Wildcats after sustaining an injury during fall camp. Here's what Braun had to say about Adaye.
Yeah, we're unsure on the timeline for Ori. Won't get into any specifics, but what I will say about Ori is, that young man's growth over the course of the last year has been so exciting. Very confident with the way that Ori just approaches everything in his day to day. That he'll be back on an expedited timeline, and from what we're hearing, it sounds like that's a positive timeline. So. Hurting for Ori, but also very excited that he'll be back in a timely manner.
Well, that's it for me here at Red Hawk Radio's Kickoff Show. I'm your host, Sean Wiesemann. Thank you very much for listening, and we'll get you to the pregame show momentarily. Hello there. I'm Sean Wiesemann, host of Red Hawk Radio's Kickoff show for today's game against the Northwestern Wildcats here at the new temporary stadium at the Lanny and Sharon Martin Athletics Facility
We're good.
Apologize for some tech issues. Hopefully we got things worked out. We're into the second quarter here from Northwestern Medicine Field. And Miami and Northwestern are tied at 3 just before the break. Huge pickup for the Wildcats. They're at their own 33-yard line. But on 2nd and 15, Frank Covey with a 14-yard catch. And it's now 3rd down and 1. First play of the second quarter, and the Wildcats will run it up the gut. And plenty enough, it appears, for the back Cam Porter. Former LaSalle Lancer picks up a couple yards and moves the chains out to the Northwestern 35. Porter, the grad student from Cincinnati, 651 yards on the ground last year, led the team. Quick snap and worming down the left hash. It is another run for Porter, and he is stopped on the play by both Bryan Agu and Matt Salopek. A 5-yard gain on first down, 2nd and 5, and now Northwestern will slow down and make subs.
It'll be interesting to see how Northwestern tries to manipulate the tempo in this game. That was the first time we really saw them go no huddle there and able to catch Miami a little bit off guard, but slowing it right back down where they're most comfortable.
I formation, and the ball is lost. It appears next to the line of scrimmage. Flags come out on the snap. Miami signaling that they have it. What's the indication? RedHawks out with the football, still no signal. Bryan Agu's got the football in his hands, running it to the Miami sideline. Officials are going to meet here. Again, there's a flag down on the far side as well. So just a complete mess. And what is the call? Fumble recovered by Miami is the call, announced by our official. And the RedHawks will take it over. So that ball was just lost next to the line right after the snap. A flag came in from the far side. It was an illegal shift. That ball took just an awkward deflection, it appeared, and just disappeared into the pile under the line of scrimmage. And Bryan Agu came out with it for the RedHawks. Again, the penalty flag came out for an illegal shift on the far side. RedHawks declined it, and 59 seconds in to this second quarter in a tied game, the Miami defense comes up a little bit fortuitously with the turnover to get the offense set up in Northwestern territory from the Wildcat 38.
Another peculiar handling of the snap from quarterback Mike Wright. That's the second time that he's had trouble handling a snap from the shotgun, and that one proves even more costly than the first with a turnover there.
Gabbert swings it out on first down, caught by Kevin Davis, racing down the far side. Davis finally shut down inside the 30-yard line. 12-yard pickup on first down to the 26. Move the chains for Miami.
What a difference maker Kevin Davis has been so far. Out of the backfield, he's had a few nice runs, but he's really found a nice rhythm on the outside in the screen game for Miami.
Davis has always been listed as a running back since he got here, but last year, 96 yards on the ground, 197 through the air, appearing in all 13 games for the RedHawks. Miami was making some awkward-looking subs, and Chuck Martin didn't like it. He calls for timeout. Still with plenty of time left on the play clock, but just something not in order for this Miami team. And Chuck wants to talk things over. The 11th year head coach of the RedHawks, who signed an extension this offseason to keep him in Oxford for... He signals for timeout, and the RedHawks will talk this over. A 1st and 10 from the Northwestern 26-yard line in a 3-3 tie. One timeout left for the RedHawks, 13:26 to go, second quarter. And again, Miami and Northwestern tied at 3. And Addison, this game just feels entirely different right now than the one 2 years ago, despite at this stage in the game, the score being pretty similar in that one, a 3-point RedHawk win. It felt like Miami was chasing as an underdog, but you can see what a couple years of winning has done. This Miami team at the moment appears vibes-wise to be right toe-to-toe with these Wildcats.
Yeah, the playing field certainly appears level just from the eye test from both of these teams. Both defenses swarming pretty well, and Miami's done a much better job keeping the penalties and the mental mistakes to a minimum than Northwestern. Northwestern has a couple costly mistakes by the Wildcats early on in this game. And those are just mistakes that you don't want to see early on in the season, but obviously, first game of the season, some of those things are just going to come out early on. And veteran teams are able to power through that. We'll see if Northwestern is able to do that. But Miami is a great veteran team, as well returned a lot of experience, and arguably got even better than the team at the latter half of the season who ended up winning the MAC championship, returning Brett Gabbert and kind of some of these younger guys progressing a little bit more, returning some of those seniors on the defensive end of the ball as well. This is one of the strongest Miami teams that we've seen in recent memory, one of the strongest of the Chuck Martin era, and they're going toe-to-toe with a Northwestern team who has much higher expectations than they might have a year ago due to the success of this year. Bringing in a transfer quarterback in Mike Wright and returning Cam Porter and A.J. Henning, things are a little bit different vibes-wise for Northwestern as well, and we've seen both of these teams come out very motivated. Clearly the rust has yet to be shaken off.
And this North Nation last year, coming off a one-win season, they lost their head coach due to some controversy just a couple weeks before the season started. There were really no signs recruiting transfer-wise that this team would improve at all upon that one-win year. They did, despite many naysayers to begin the year. But coming out for a second season under David Braun, level at 3 with the RedHawks. Out of the timeout from the Northwestern 26. Gabbert fakes the pass, slings over the middle. It's behind the intended target. A bubble of space was there for Cade McDonald, but the throw was more toward the middle of the field. He reached behind, got a paw on the football, but could not hang on. Second down and 10 coming up in a rare miscue from the veteran Brett Gabbert.
And you could see Brett Gabbert recognize pre-snap that the linebackers were kind of shifting in and out towards the right side of the field, leaving that middle of the field wide open, and Gabbert had McDonald over the middle, just not able to execute that throw.
It's like Gabbert shifted his eyes at the last moment to some hands that were up in the middle of the line of scrimmage, and that influenced the throw to be a little offline. Second and 10 for the Northwestern 26. And the snap to Gabbert, he hands this one off up the middle. It is Mosey that has no room to run as he is beaten back right at the line of scrimmage, and third down and 10 coming up for the RedHawks after no gain. Approaching the 2-minute mark, second quarter, 13:03 and counting left in it. And Miami and Northwestern even at 3. Big third down and 10 coming up for a RedHawk team that last year sat middle of the pack in the Mid-American Conference in converting. Today, 2 for 4. Gabbert's got 3 to the right, 1 tight to the formation on the left, and a back on his right side. Barks orders at the offensive line. 5 on the play clock. Gabbert claps, gets the snap, looking to throw. Gabbert facing pressure, and Gabbert swimming up in the pocket, but he goes down at the 32-yard line. Kenny Soares Jr., the Connecticut native, came flying through there and helping out his case as well for the Wildcats. Anto Saka, the defensive lineman, and Miami will be forced to now try what appears to be a long field goal. How about this? The redshirt freshman McLaughlin kicking left to right as opposed to right to left. He made his first college field goal attempt from 45 yards out to put Miami on the board. Now he'll try from the left hash from 50. Snap is down. Bevelheimer with the hold. The kick is up, and it is just short. It was on line, but needed about a yard more of leg in Western Medicine Field. Miami comes up empty on the drive, and with 3 minutes and 10 seconds gone by in this second quarter, our score remains tied at 3. Unsuccessful field goal spells good field position for the Wildcats when we come back. 3-3 our score from Northwestern Medicine Field in Evanston. We'll return after these messages You're listening to Miami football on Red Hawk Radio. First down and 10 Wildcats with the ball on the 32-yard line for Northwestern. After the missed field goal by Miami, the Wildcats will take back over 1st and 10 following a wacky play, a deflected ball that ended up fumbling for the Wildcats into the line of scrimmage. Miami took over in field position on the Northwestern side. Unfortunately for the RedHawks, they failed to cash it. Still a tied game, 11:49 to go, second quarter, and on first down, handoff goes to the outside. Couple yards for Porter, but airtight. This Miami defense runs him down at the 35-yard line after a gain of about 3 on 1st and 10.
Yeah, so far, this Miami defense has done a great job stringing the run to the outside and not letting Cam Porter get the edge, which he's attempted to do a few times, but these linebackers have been flying around the edge and have made some nice tackles in the open field against Porter.
Snap back and a fake handoff on second down, and the target airmailed, looking for Bryce Kurtz. Big Ten honorable mention last year, got his fingertips on the football, but double covered. Couldn't catch it on second down, and now 3rd down and 7 will come up with 11:11 remaining in this second quarter. Northwestern trying to break a 3-3 tie.
And Rayon Strader right behind him on that play. Can tell he probably felt the footsteps from the freshman All-American, and Strader's done a great job on every single one of his matchups so far in this game. Has forced a few incompletions so far from Mike Wright in this Northwestern offense.
Mike Wright, the transfer from Mississippi State into the Big Ten, gets the snap on 3rd down and 7. Pocket collapsing, throws to the far side, wide open, incomplete. It is Kurtz outside the numbers to the 44-yard line. He scampers out of bounds. Back in coverage there for the RedHawks, the defensive back in Luke Evans just tripped and fell, and that was what left him so wide open. And so that gain will get Northwestern out to the 44-yard line. It's a gain of, they'll call it 9 yards, and 1st down and 10 coming up for the Wildcats. Still on their own half of the field, but not by much. 3 in the backfield for Mike Wright. Claps his hands, fakes the handoff, and he is swung down. Bryan untouched. Came back and laid a big hit on the quarterback, Mike Wright. That will go for a 4-yard loss. Behind the sticks go the Wildcats, 2nd and 14 coming up from the right hash.
Yeah, Agu was not fooled on that play. Read that read option perfectly, and that's the 2nd or 3rd time, I believe, that Northwestern, after a big play to convert a 1st down, has immediately gone backwards on the following play.
8 sacks last year for the 2nd team All-MAC selection and former Rutgers Scarlet Knight playing in the Big Ten Bryan Agu. On second down and 14, the snap right, throws down, and it's caught, but blown up on the screenplay behind the line of scrimmage. I'll actually say now the receiver dropped the ball. It was hard to tell in there. It was A.J. Henning. Good decision to drop it. He was behind the line, but Salopek lit him up when he touched that football. Incomplete. Clock stops with 9:55 to go, and a 3rd down and 14 situation coming up for the Wildcats.
Salopek recognized that one immediately, and these Miami linebackers have really done a good job of play recognition and have been swarming to the ball very quickly and have been very physical at the point of attack as well.
On 3rd down, Wright gets the shotgun snap. 4-man rush, swimming inside, hit as he throws. It flies into the Miami bench towards the outside, incomplete, and Northwestern will punt.
And Bryan Agu once again just dominating his matchup from the weak side, hitting Mike Wright and forcing that one to sail out of bounds. And Miami, after that conversion on that wide open play where had a DB fall down, and then they come back and immediately get the stop on those next following 3 plays.
Luke Ayers on to punt. Miami's got Cade McDonald back there. RedHawks bring the rush, but now will pull back. Punt is a high, swirling kick. McDonald calls for the fair catch and makes it between the numbers and Hash's far side at the 16-yard line of the RedHawks. And with 9:48 to go in the 2nd quarter, that's where the Miami offense will set up shop. Good field position last time. Miami unable to cash in. A longer field this time around, but Brett Gabbard and company will look to move in front in this game when we come back. From Evanston, Illinois, you're listening to Miami football on Red Hawk Radio. 9:43 to go, quarter 2. Our score, Miami 3 and Northwestern 3. Stay with us. We're back in just a moment. Back here at Northwestern Medicine Field in Evanston. Miami and Northwestern tied up at 3 with the RedHawks set to take over. 3-3 our score with just under 10 minutes. Find something from earlier on. Looked like Kellen McLaughlin. It was Dom Jobin that attempted the Miami field goals. Hit from just outside 40 yards, failed to connect from 50. Jobin, who was the punter 2 years ago for Miami, was competing for the starting job, and it appeared as if McLaughlin had won it, listed atop the depth chart, but it was instead Dom Jobin here on game day that attempted a couple of field goals and made one to get Miami even at 3-3. Brett Gabbard and the offense back out on the field with the ball on the left hash. 16-yard line is where Miami will start. Field position, Wildcats mostly not the last time out for the RedHawks, though, taking over in Northwestern territory following the fumble. They failed to score after the missed field goal. Rare Brett Gabbard under center sighting. He takes the snap and hands it off on first down. Kevin Davis hurdles the line of scrimmage and gets out near the number in the 0 and 20, put down after a short game, but that did not look promising, and at least something positive for Kevin Davis, the athletic slot running back combo. Pickup of 2 on first down. It's 2nd and 8. Clock churning, under 9:20 to go. First half. Miami and Northwestern going toe-to-toe right now. RedHawks with just 1 less yard than the Wildcats, 79-78 in favor of Northwestern. Back out of the shotgun goes Gabbard. Less than 10 on the play clock. He gets the snap and hands it off up the middle. Gobbled up goes Keon Mosey. As 3 Wildcats were back there into the backfield. It's Xander Muller, one of many graduate students back for a 5th year with this Wildcat team, and specifically the Wildcat defense. It'll officially go for no gain. 3rd and 8 coming up for the RedHawks.
There's not a lot of lanes to run right now. Not a lot of holes being created by this Miami offensive line. Northwestern, the last few possessions, has really done well bottling up the run game. See if they come after him here on 3rd down.
3rd and 8, ball on the left hash. Miami 2 for 5, as is Northwestern. Gabbert gets the snap, looking outside for Davis. Has him, room to run in the open field, but he's tripped up. Just slipped, looking to juke back there on the defensive back for the Wildcats. In on the tackle, it was Braden Turner that made the stop for Northwestern. One-on-one with Davis on the exterior. A little bit of misdirection there for Miami as they got Davis one-on-one with the defensive back with plenty of field to work with, but he just slipped on the turf monster. Going for the juke. Miami will punt after what maybe goes for a yard. They'll give him a 1-yard gain, but the RedHawks will boot it away.
And those are the matchups Miami is looking to create. They got Davis out in the flat in a one-on-one situation, and Braden Turner held his ground, made a beautiful play in the open field to stall out that Miami drive.
Kick comes to the near sideline, and the catch made by A.J. Henning with his toe on the sideline out of bounds near the 40-yard line. Give or take a yard or two. We'll see where they mark him, but that will send us to another timeout. Step aside here from Evanston, Northwestern Medicine Field, our site, this temporary stadium that seats 15,000. It's full. I beg your pardon. We'll stay right here as the Northwestern offense is coming back out. 3-3 our score between the RedHawks and the Wildcats. 7:36 to go in the half. Northwestern 2 timeouts, Miami with 1. Not quite into the situation yet where you're determining what you're doing based off the time left on the clock, but something to keep an eye on as we move into the future. Ball spotted on the 40-yard line of the Wildcats. Left hash and Mike Wright out in a pistol formation. Tight end stacked to the left side of the line. Gets a handoff on 1st down, and up the middle, Komale strafes forward for a couple of yards before he's brought down. 3-yard gain for the redshirt freshman from Katy, Texas. 4 games last season for the Wildcats for the former 3-star recruit, and 4 rushing attempts. Today, that is his 3rd, and they will move the spot to the 44-yard line. It's a 4-yard gain, 2nd and 6. 2 receivers on the right side, nobody to the short side of the field on the left. They're stacked in twins. It's a pistol formation for Mike Wright. The grad student from Atlanta brings a man in motion. Right side to left side, gets the snap and throws it out far side. Henning, pass complete, shuffles his feet and gets out near midfield. We'll see where they mark him. It's right at the 50-yard line. Officials signaling move the chains right at the line to gain. It's a pickup of 6 and a Northwestern 1st down. Henning, the former Michigan Wolverine, 560,000 on TikTok, by the way. And the grad student from Frankfort, Illinois, in his 2nd year with the Wildcats, has the catch, moves the chains, and Northwestern right at midfield looking to crack the seal into Miami territory with 6:20 and counting to go opening half. Our score 3-3 between Miami and Northwestern. Wildcats looking to get back into the win column against the RedHawks after dropping a game here in Evanston in 22. Wright has the snap, throws near side, high pass complete, and tripped up a shoestring tackle on Bryce Kurtz. It was Oscar McWood, the linebacker, that came across to make that play on Northwestern's top receiving target. The Big Ten honorable mention, 8th in the conference in rec yards last year, and he is to the 43-yard line of Miami. It's a 7-yard gain on 1st down. Northwestern is using some clock here, running it down below 5:40 with our game tied. Pistol formation for what they'll call 2nd and 4. Wright takes the snap, it's a handoff. Komale bursting through, got near the marker, and the last effort gave him enough inside the 40, down to the 39, a 6-yard gain, and a Northwestern 1st down.
Northwestern getting in a little bit of a rhythm right now. We haven't seen that so far from really either offense so far in this game, but Northwestern with a couple of nice plays that they've been able to string together in a row, managed to get into Miami territory and are threatening to crack field goal range.
Northwestern breaks the huddle. Pistol formation. Marshall Lang stacked the St. X grad on the left side of the line. It's a direct snap to Komale, fan. He is bottled up Short gain. He does lean across the line of scrimmage for about a half yard or so. But as we move under 5 minutes to go in the half, Bryan Agu makes another stop for Miami, and 2nd and 9 will result for Northwestern. Ball in the middle of the field on the Miami 38.
And Agu has been extremely explosive off the right side of that defensive line so far for Miami in this game. He's really wreaking havoc on this Northwestern offense. And he's managed to kind of stall this Wildcat offense a few times. And they're setting up a 2nd and long.
2nd and 9 coming up. Man in motion. Wright takes the snap. It's a play fake. Line coming to his face. He's going deep down the field into double coverage. Jump ball. It's tipped away. A play on that for the RedHawks back in the secondary. It was Ambe Caldwell, the safety, who had just one start last year and making his first this year in, along with Oscar McWood. Both of them had a play on that football to at least get the interception. Also touching it, Bryce Kurtz, the receiver. Got the finger pads on that football, but none could come up with it in the end zone. And it's 3rd down and 9. Ball in the middle of the field. The Wildcats are 2 for 5 on 3rd down today. 39-yard line of Miami. Northwestern snaps it. It's Wright handing it off and up the middle. There's a lane inside the 30 and down near the 25-yard line for Cam Porter. A 1st down point toward the tall rows of stands behind the end zone. Porter gets plenty enough for the 1st down for Northwestern. And they are approaching the red zone now, knocking on the door, left hash, 26-yard line, the spot for the Wildcats.
And I think they caught Miami a little bit off guard going with the run on 3rd and 9 there. The offensive line just able to part that Miami front 7 and get Cam Porter enough room to get that 1st down. And now Northwestern really threatening on the 26-yard line, well within field goal range, and an opportunity to get in the end zone for the first time.
Miami subbing late, and that will draw the attention of David Braun, who's forced to use a timeout on the Northwestern sideline as the RedHawks were content to stall as the defense there and make Northwestern take a delay of game. Braun will call his 2nd timeout. He's got 1 left, and the clock will stop with 3:26 remaining in this first half. Northwestern at the Miami 26-yard line, and our game is tied at 3 aside. Should be noted, Northwestern, by the way, has done a very good job managing the clock on this drive. They've eaten up about 4 minutes of it, and still with some room to work, barring any chunk play, could maybe run some more time off this if they would not like to give Miami some room to work. RedHawks will receive the 2nd half kickoff. And also, we have a 2-minute timeout now. It's the same as a 2-minute warning, but that's the terminology used in college football. That's new this year, like the NFL. So Northwestern is back out of the timeout. 1 receiver split out wide on either side for Mike Wright. He's in the shotgun with Cam Porter a step behind him and to his right. Wright claps once, now twice, gets a waist-high snap and throws near side. Pass is complete. Dodging out of a tackle, it's Covey inside the 10. He's finally put on the ground. Covey tackled by Eli Blakey after a gain of about 16 yards. They'll mark him at the 10-yard line. It's 1st and goal, Northwestern from the Miami 10. Wright in the pistol. 2:53 first half and clock moving. Wright gets the snap, handoff Porter, counters it back inside. Porter juking, approaching the goal line, and he's marked down inside the 1. A 9-yard gain on 1st down, 2nd and goal coming up from the 1, and the Wildcats will try to hurry this up. Mike Wright getting up to the line of scrimmage, and Miami stacking the box. Wright takes the snap, he lost the football. Wright looks like he pounced back on top of it, but the officials will clear out this pile, and that did not go according to plan. We've seen a couple of off snaps for the Wildcats, and that another, and Miami's signaling that they have it, and now the sideline's starting to get roused up a little bit. And what is the signal? Still waiting on it. It appeared in real time as if Wright fumbled the snap, but got right back on that football, but it was hard to see from up here as the ball again was lost in the pile. And we still don't have official signal as they're still pulling guys off the pile. It's Miami football. Unreal. Inside the 1-yard line, and the RedHawks take over after another botch snap, the 2nd by the Wildcats. Miami will get it inside their own 1, as they make a goal line stand to hold Northwestern out of the end zone. Wow. They're showing the replay here. Admittedly, you can't see a lot, but somehow Miami came out with that, and a second time that an unassuming looking play ends up with the pile cleared in possession of the RedHawks. They'll mark the ball at the 1.5-yard line, and with 2:09 to play in the first, that's where Miami will start.
Kind of the perfect storm there for the RedHawks. And Mike Wright, who has struggled a few times, as we've discussed multiple times throughout this game, handling snaps. The previous two were in the shotgun, that one under center, and Northwestern usually not used to going tempo as well. And Mike Wright was rushed there, and he wasn't able that snap, and you could see Miami immediately pouncing on that ball, being very physical with that Northwestern front, and Mike Wright himself able to pounce on that ball and completely flip the momentum of this game as Northwestern was primed to take the lead.
Officials have just appeared as if that play was done, but they now are going to review it. So it took a little while, but they are going to take an extra look. And again, based off the angles we could see, not only is it not conclusive, it just appears everything that happened in that sequence was out of the view of everybody but the few guys that were in the box down in the trenches that could determine things one way or the other.
And conclusive is it was not a fumble recovered. Just on the angles that they've shown on the video board, there's nothing that you could point to that would tell you that they would flip this. And it looks like they're quickly going to bring Miami's offense back out onto the field. So a very quick review here that I would expect to go Miami's way.
Call stands is the signal given from the official. And again, this is not an inconclusive frame and you can't tell what happened. You just can't see it. And so that will bring the RedHawk offense out. And at the 1-yard line, Miami will start with 2:09 to go. Brett Gabbert in the offense working, and gutsily, Miami's going to go from the shotgun here. Gabbert 5 yards deep in his own end zone. Northwestern first down, handoff goes up the middle for some breathing room, out to the 4-yard line. And I believe we got a timeout called by Northwestern, or rather an injured RedHawk that is down. It was Jordan Brunson, who appeared in 6 games for the RedHawks last year and had a touchdown, former redshirt at Virginia Tech, that got the carry. And an O-lineman is down for the RedHawks in the middle of that. Miami picks up about 3, and out to the 4-yard line they will go for second down, and 3 left to go on our first half game clock. And again, Northwestern with just 1 timeout left. If you're trying to kind of flip the field, an unideal situation to do it as you failed to score from the 1-yard line after the fumbled miscue, but you've got the 2-minute timeout to work with in addition to that 1 timeout, and if you could get a quick stop here, you may be looking at around a minute or so to work with from midfield to at least try and get into field goal range, get a kick, and take the lead into the locker room.
If you're the RedHawks at this point, you want to create as much breathing room as possible, but also be cognizant of the fact that you're punting into the wind here in this situation, and Northwestern in that case would likely be a throw or two, assuming that the ball would be down probably around midfield or close to the 40-yard line. You're a throw or two away from getting into field goal range and kind of flipping this game back towards your sideline, heading into the locker room if you're able to get some points on the board. So Miami has to be cognizant of that, but also try and push the ball down the field and maybe put themselves in a little bit of a position to score some points as well. And it looks like we are just going to go right into the 2-minute warning after that injury timeout, which is actually, I think, a little bit more advantageous for Miami, not having another stoppage in between downs here.
Well, the rules are new for all of us, and both teams went out there and actually lined all the way up, presumably knowing that clock was going to run after the injury timeout, but just not knowing, new this year in college football, first game for each of these teams. Clock stops at 2 minutes of each half, just like in the NFL. And that is the case right now. So Northwestern's got 1 timeout left if they can get a quick stop. It's 2nd and 7 here for Miami, ball on the 4-yard line. The injured RedHawk was the veteran right tackle, Reed Holsky, 50-year senior from Pataskala, Ohio. That was shaken up. He did get to the sideline under his own power with his helmet off and is receiving medical attention in the tent right now for Miami. This is a RedHawk team that O-line over the past couple of years has been solid at points, but a little bit inconsistent. The main thing, though, is the continuity has been fantastic for this Miami team. They've got multi-year starters all across the board on the offensive line, and hate to see a guy go down like Holski that brings a lot of presence down in the trenches.
And you talk about the continuity on that offensive line, which is huge. Brett Gabbert coming back off 2 consecutive season-ending injuries. Protecting him is of paramount importance for Miami this season, and you hate to see any holes created in that offensive line if you're Chuck Martin of Miami. And so you're just hoping that he's okay and able to get back into the game at some point. But Miami shifting their focus again towards trying to create a little bit of breathing room here out of the 2-minute warning. Not necessarily to try and put themselves in a position to score, rather to prevent Northwestern from finding themselves in a position to score with a little bit of time left in this half. It's interesting, two straight times we've seen them come out in the shotgun. We saw that Brett Gabbert come out under center earlier on in this game. It's only happened one time, but you would expect maybe a little bit more conservativeness, trying not to get backed up in the end zone.
2 minutes even on the clock, game even at 3. Miami's got 2nd and 7 from their own 4, and the handoff goes underneath, and into the clear goes Brunson down the far side, laying a stiff arm, and Brunson gets to the exterior and is dragged down near the 20-yard line. Mark him out at the 19, a 15-yard gain for Jordan Brunson, the redshirt junior from Alpharetta, Georgia. Has got Miami's offense in business, and now maybe thinking a little more than just run the timeout. You got time to do something.
Yeah, now you're thinking go, go, go. They put themselves in a decent position here with 1:40 to go. Plenty of time to possibly get into field goal range if they can push the ball down the field, but that's a great run by Brunson to set them up nicely and completely changes the game plan defensively for Northwestern as well.
1:27 and counting to go for Miami. Gabbert takes the snap, looking to throw. Fires a bullet far side, complete near the sticks. It is out of bounds to Cade McDonald. He is marked a yard short, gain of 9 for the workhorse McDonald. That's his 4th catch, and now 42 yards on the day for number 15 in white. Dangerous in the return game, and getting his name a little more active now from scrimmage as well. 2nd and 1 coming up for Miami. Out to the RedHawk 28-yard line. Clock stops with the play out of bounds. 1:22 to go in the half. Miami still with a timeout left to use.
And it's situations like this where it's so much more of a luxury to have a veteran like Brett Gabbert back in the lineup. He has navigated situations such as this before, has the experience to do it as well.
Gabbert again looking to throw over the middle. It's nearly intercepted. That was Xander Muller that ripped that away from Jack Coldiron, the tight end for Miami, right between the hashes on the X at the 35-yard line. That's where the tee goes, and he nearly pulled that ball into his hands, but just could not hold on. 3rd down and 1. Now coming up for the RedHawks with 78 seconds to go.
Gabbert was staring down Coldiron in the middle of the field there, and Muller jumped on that perfectly. And it looked like he controlled it all the way until the ground. And then once he hit the ground, it was jarred loose. But Miami very fortunate not to give up a turnover there.
Gabbert frantically signaling right now with 3 left on the clock, and Chuck Martin's going to call timeout. Not what you wanted there for Miami. You have to call your final timeout now with 1:18 to go. As the RedHawks were discombobulated in their formation, it looked like potentially Tracy, slot receiver to the far side, was not lined up in the proper spot. Gabbert was trying to get things in order with time waning on the play clock. But Chuck Martin playing things safe, and on 3rd and 1, that's potentially a big timeout that you take for this RedHawk team, because you would like to play for the 1st down, but if you keep the ball on the ground and just get a couple yards, that means you're full tempo mode.
And using that timeout with the clock stopped, that's just an unfortunate situation for Miami. And now, if you're throwing the ball down the field, you got to immediately get down or get out of bounds. Clock stops to move the chains. Miami has got to be aware of the clock at all times.
3rd down and 1 from the Miami 28. RedHawks need right at the 29. Handoff goes to Brunson over top of the line. He is marked right at the sticks. What is the signal? Move the chains, 1st down. Clock will stop until the sticks are set. Minute 14 to go. RedHawks needed one. They got it from Jordan Brunson, who's had a couple big carries on this drive. And now Miami will make subs, not in too much of a hurry, but looking to get lined up as we move close to a minute left to play in this first half. Our score 3-3 between Miami and Northwestern. One receiver on the short side left, two to the right for Brett Gabbert. Out of the shotgun. Gabbert claps his hands. It's a four-man rush. Back to throw. Gabbert looking deep over the middle. It is in and out of the hands of Jack Coldiron. Found a seam on the right side, bracketed by three Wildcats. Coldiron, who was injured for the season in the season opener last year against Miami, had just one catch. And again, it targeted a ball put right on the money by Gabbert, but the big tight end could not pull it in. It's second down.
Gabbert laid that one nicely in the middle of the two defenders there for Northwestern. Coldiron just not able to haul that one in. Clock does stop, though, for Miami. Time to set something up. You wonder how aggressive they'll be knowing that they do get the ball out of the break. Not a ton of pressure for them to score here.
48 seconds remaining. Gabbert gets the snap on second down. Handoff up the middle, goes to Brunson, worming forward. Cross the 34 to the 35. They'll mark him just beyond it. And now Miami will have to play the clock a little bit here as they'll gain about 6 yards. It's third down and 4, but how do the RedHawks want to play this? They would need to snap it one more time. Northwestern can stop the clock, but it looks like Miami's going to be ultra conservative here and just run the clock down, as the RedHawks will go for the huddle. And with 17 seconds and churning remaining, Miami will snap it. Gabbert lining up from a half victory formation here. The game and play clock separated by 3 seconds, and it looks like Gabbert's just going to take the snap and go down. He takes it. He lays the knee down. He did leave time on the clock, though, but Northwestern is not going to call their final timeout. Could have made Miami punt it at least, but I guess the scenario for the Wildcats is to just get to the locker room and regroup after what wasn't a poor effort by any means, but just a couple of costly mistakes have kept Miami around in this first half. Well, 30 minutes have come and gone here from Oxford, and we are tied at 3. The defenses are going to work, and the RedHawks are firing up their faithful at the end zone stands as they head off from the near corner of the end zone to the locker room. 30 minutes by, 30 to go. Nothing decided yet between each of these two teams. Miami looking to take their second in a row against Northwestern after a win here in Evanston, just across the way at the old Ryan Field, now demolished a couple of years ago. Well, Addison for Miami, they had some missed opportunities. It feels sometimes like to pull an upset, things need to go perfectly. For the RedHawks, things haven't gone perfectly, but well. Miami, though, has failed to cash in on a couple of costly mistakes for Northwestern. You can take good and bad out of that, but your overall thoughts on the first 30?
I think Miami hung in there physically very well, and I think that the end of the half ended up being huge. Northwestern ended up using a lot of time on that final drive to try and put themselves in a position to score and just weren't able to take advantage because of that turnover by Mike Wright. So Miami, they've made a couple of costly mistakes, but they've done a decent enough job of taking advantage of Northwestern's mistakes as well. And both of these teams are just going to have to figure out something offensively. We haven't seen any vertical game from either of these teams so far, and the run game really has not been there consistently for either of these teams as well. So we'll see. I would expect offense to be a hot topic of discussion for both of these teams, and just cleaning up penalties and ball security as well.
Miami hampered by a false start penalty, unable to get in the end zone on a promising drive. Northwestern got as close as the 1. But a Mike Wright fumble on a bobbled snap ended up in the RedHawks' hands on first down and goal. And just needing to get a yard, or on second and goal rather, just needing to get a yard. Northwestern had a few chances to do it and squandered it at first opportunity. A couple of fumbles recovered by the Miami defense, and that's been the story of this first half, as that side of the ball has gone to work at the half here from Northwestern Medicine Field, Lakeside in Evanston. It's Miami 3 and Northwestern 3. 30 minutes left, coming back on the other side of the break. For now, we'll turn things over to Bryan Miller and Andrew Relvas with our Red Hawk Radio halftime report coming up next. Addison and I back for the second half here on Red Hawk Radio. You're listening to Miami football and the season opener from Evanston. We're tied at the half.
for the halftime show on Red Hawk Radio. It's Miami 3, Northwestern 3. A fun first half here in Evanston at the Northwestern Medicine Field. Andrew Relvas alongside. It was a fun first half, Bryan, but overall, pretty solid defensively, not so much offense. How did it happen here in Chicago?
Yeah, I think it's what we've been expecting so far, Andrew. Pretty defensive-led, both these teams led by their defense and their rushing attacks. Not a ton through the air that we've seen so far. Brett Gabbert with 87 yards passing, Mike Wright 72. A lot of short passes, not a ton of deep threats. We did see one from Northwestern towards the end of the first half, but that was incomplete. And frankly, the rushing attack for neither of these teams has really been working so far. Leading rusher for Miami today, Jordan Brunson with 25 yards. Started to turn it on in the end there on those final couple drives. And then Cam Porter for Northwestern, only 37 yards rushing. So not a ton of offense so far for either of these teams.
In terms of rushing, like we mentioned, top rusher for Miami, Jordan Brunson, 4 carries and 25 yards. Second, Dylan Downing, 2 carries and 10. Meanwhile, for Northwestern, Cam Porter, their leading rusher, 7 carries and 37 yards. Yeah, just not a lot of offense here at Northwestern. Meanwhile, in the receiving department, the leading receiver for Miami, it is Cade McDonald, 4 receptions, 42 yards. Right behind him, Kevin Davis, 4 for 32. Northwestern, it is Covey with 4 receptions and 31. And right behind him, Bryce Kurtz. Passing-wise, Brett Gabbert, 9 for 15, 87 yards. And for Northwestern, Wright, 10 for 16 with 72 yards. No touchdowns, 3-3, a very defensive first half. There were a few turnovers, Bryan. 2 on Northwestern. How did Miami make it happen?
Well, I mentioned earlier in the game that Northwestern, they really benefited from a really good turnover margin last year. They only lost 1 fumble. Today, they've lost 2. So as we've seen season to season, that turnover luck doesn't usually translate, and it really hasn't today for Northwestern. And the snaps weren't necessarily on the catch. They were really bad snaps. We saw 2 fumbled snaps, one earlier in the half, and then the critical one towards the end of the second quarter, right at the goal line. They went a little bit fast there, tried to speed them up, tried to get Miami off guard, but instead they fumbled the snap and fumbled it not even at the 1 yard line, probably at like the 6-inch line. That completely changed the course of this game.
In terms of defense, tackling wise, the leading tackler for the RedHawks, it is Eli Blakey, 7 tackles, 5 solo. Right behind him, Brian Agu, 5 tackles and 4 solo, responsible for one of the fumbles alongside Matt Salopek, who has 3 tackles.
Those two have been absolute monsters today. We saw one of the series, just 3 straight outstanding defensive plays from Ugo and Salopek. They have been very hard hitting so far in this first half.
They were 2 of the top returners defensively for the RedHawks, making all MAC teams. Salopek, obviously the defensive player of the year, but they're making their presence known. And in the second half, it's going to be about that Miami offense. Got to get things rolling here in Evanston. The leading tackler for Northwestern as well, Turner with 4. And overall, a very strong defensive first half for both sides. 3-3, 6 total points between Miami and Northwestern. We kind of knew this game was going to be a close one, Bryan, but what are your expectations so far coming into the second half?
Well, I think both teams are going to have to increase their passing attack. We really haven't seen a ton of deep threats. So if you get the opportunity, if you get the look that you want, I'd expect either team to take that shot. But you might have to set it up with the run first. I would expect more Brunson for Miami. Started to turn it on towards the back end of the first half. And I would say more targets to Cade McDonald.
Should be a fun second half coming up. We'll take a break for our scoreboard segment in a moment here on Red Hawk Radio. It's Miami 3, Northwestern 3 at the half. Stay with us.
back in Evanston, tied up 3-3 here on the shores of Lake Michigan. Giving you your top 25 scoreboard this week. First on Wednesday night, Missouri taking care of Murray State 51-0. Utah taking care of Southern Utah 49-0. Kansas taking care of Lindenwood 48-3. NC State in a bit of a battle with Western Carolina, but they were able to pull it off in the second half with 21 points in the fourth quarter. They win 38-21. Friday night, Oklahoma took care of the Temple Owls pretty easily. 51-3 win for the Sooners in their first game today. Big showdown in Atlanta, and it was a splattering. Number 1, Georgia half. Tennessee putting up 69 points against Chattanooga. They win 69-3. And Iowa, ready for this, Andrew? Scored 40 points today.
Unheard of.
That is unheard of. New OC Tim Lester putting up some points on the scoreboard. They beat Illinois State 40-0. In action right now, number 8 Penn State in Morgantown take on West Virginia. They're up 27-6. Oklahoma State up 21 on defending FCS champion South Dakota State. Ohio State, number 2 in the country. A lot of people think they're the best team in the country. Only up 17-3 on the Akron Zips. Number 4 Texas up 31-0 against Colorado State. And the battle in the Swamp in-state rivalry. Miami Hurricanes up 17-10 on the Florida Gators. Later up tonight, Alabama takes on Western Kentucky in Kalen DeBoer's debut. Number 6, Ole Miss. High expectations for the Rebels. They take on Furman. Kansas State takes on UT Martin. Oregon takes on Idaho in their Big Ten debut. And the defending champion, Michigan, takes on Fresno State at home. Big showdown tonight. College Game Day was there this morning. Number 7, Notre Dame, heading to College Station to take on number 20th ranked Texas A&M Aggies in the coaching debut of Mike Elko. And to round out tonight, number 21, Arizona, takes on New Mexico after they lost to Montana State last week. Next, pass to Andrew with our MAC scoreboard.
Across the Mid-American Conference, a full slate of action that is finally back for the 2024 season. In Columbus, Ohio State on top 17-3, like Bryan just mentioned, Akron trailing the Ohio State Buckeyes, number 2 team in the nation. At the half, Eastern Michigan on top of UMass 14-0 in Massachusetts. Fun one for the future Mid-American Conference member next season, the UMass Minutemen. At the half, Ohio 9, Syracuse 17. Ohio set to be a pretty solid team in the MAC like they always are this year, facing off against an ACC team in the Syracuse Orange. That's at the half. Western Illinois trailing the NIU Huskies 34-3. Home game in DeKalb for the Northern Illinois Huskies on top of Western Illinois at the half. Final score earlier today, Pittsburgh demolishing Kent State 55-24 in Pittsburgh. Big game for the Panthers, taking down the Kent State Golden Flashes in game number 1. Look back on the Thursday slate, Buffalo defeating Lafayette 30-13, home game in New York for the Buffalo Bulls. Bowling Green defeats Fordham 41-17. Another big win for the Bowling Green Falcons. Central Michigan takes down Central Connecticut 66-10 in Mount Pleasant. A big opening win for the Central Michigan Chippewas, taking down Central Connecticut. Toledo takes down Duquesne 49-10. The Rockets on top of the Dukes in Toledo and the Glass Bowl. And finally, Wisconsin taking down Western Michigan last night at Camp Randall 28-14. Western Michigan set to be one of the top teams in the MAC this year, probably Miami's top competition in the conference, but they fall 14-28. We'll take it to the keys to the game now here for the RedHawks. Now, Bryan, it's a 3-3 game, tight one. It's pretty much been all defense. What is it going to take for the RedHawks to come away with a road win here?
Well, especially for the fact that they returned 4 starters. I've been a little disappointed in the offensive line performance for Miami. I mentioned it before the game, Andrew, that I thought the biggest matchup in the game today would be the Northwestern defensive line against the experienced Miami offensive line. And so far we've seen Northwestern come up with a few different third down blitz packages that's been able to confuse the offensive line and take down Brett Gabbert, or at least make him rush, make him hurry, get him outside the pocket. and make him throw it away. I think Northwestern's D-line has done a really good job of making Brett Gabbert uncomfortable. So I think making sure that the running backs are doing much better in pass protection and really emphasizing to the O-line. You got to take care of your assignments. You got to hold one another accountable. You got to pick up on these packages, especially on third down, 3rd and 6, 7, 8, in those types of situations. You got to give Brett Gabbert enough time to find his targets. Because when he's had time today, he's been able to find his receivers pretty well.
Yeah, I'm with you there, Brian. Also feels like Miami's kind of playing a little bit soft. They're playing a little conservative. I want them to be more aggressive in the second half. We saw a few plays where Jordan Brunson, the running backs, they escaped for a few yards. Thought it was going to be more, but finally corralled in by this Northwestern defense. Want to see the RedHawks get aggressive. I mean, this is the time to do it. You're facing a Big Ten opponent. MAC versus Big Ten doesn't happen often, but you got to make a splash, you know, right by the lake. Let's make some action here in Evanston. Expect Brett Gabbert to get it going offensively. He's 9 for 15, 87 yards, but I expect those passing yards to tick up a notch and hopefully connect with some wide receivers. Cade McDonald, Andre Johnson, his tight end Jack Coldiron. He almost had a pass past half in the last quarter. I expect those guys to get going, but overall, I mean, the defense has been strong. If you have a strong defense, which they do, you're going to stay in these games, and you know it's going to come down to the wire. We talked about it in the pregame. Tight game as we expected, but just got to be aggressive and turn things around, and for the defense, just got to keep doing what they're doing.
Yeah, I agree with that 100%. We just haven't seen that big explosive play that could really change the game around. We've seen it in sense of turnovers, but we haven't seen that like big gain on either one of these offenses. My prediction is that whoever gets one of those plays first is going to win this game. I think it's all about getting that type of play, exploiting a matchup that you like maybe on the outside, getting it down there, and making the catch. One more thing I will add. We've seen 2 field goals today from Miami. We said Kellen McLaughlin was the kicker today, and that was what was listed on the depth chart. But so far, Dom Jobin has taken both of the field goal attempts for Miami. So that's something I'm interested to see in the second half as well. They were both a little longer field goals, so maybe it's more of like a distance type of deal, bring Jobin in. But something to look forward to in the second half is how Miami will approach special teams and specifically field goals.
The second half officially kicks off in 4 minutes. Northwestern versus Miami coming up here in Evanston at Northwestern Medicine Field. That's the halftime show. We will see you in a few hours or so for the post-game show. We'll see if Miami can pull off a big upset against the Northwestern Wildcats. Stay with us here for Addison and Luke's call in a moment here from Evanston. Miami versus Northwestern here on Red Hawk Radio.
shoot. Back for half number 2 here from Northwestern Medicine Field at Martin Stadium. It's 3-3 with the RedHawks set to get the second half kickoff. Miami and Northwestern opening up the season here in 2024. Alongside Addison, Lenhart, Luke West, Poley with you, Andrew Relvas and Bryan Miller back with the postgame when we are done. We've got plenty still to be decided, but this RedHawk team is feeling pretty good about the spot they're in right now, off a couple of Northwestern fumbles that halted some promising drives, one all the way to the Miami 1-yard line on second down and goal. RedHawks held the Wildcats out of the end zone, had a chance to take the lead, but a missed field goal has kept the game level at 3, and that's how we ended this first half. Ball is on the tee, and we are all set to go. Luke Ayers, kicker punter, will tee things off left to right to begin this second half for Northwestern. He boots it into a backwind, and it lands 2 yards past the goal line for Kevin Davis. Racing ahead, Kevin Davis gets spun around outside the 20-yard line, and they'll mark him right at the 25. Bit of a generous spot there for Miami. 4 seconds off the clock on the kickoff, called a touchback for Davis, and the Miami offense will come out in a tied game at 3, essentially 0-0 here with 30 minutes left to play. Brett Gabbert, 9 for 15 for 87 yards in that first half, and Addison, when he had time, he looked great, but that timepiece has been the big issue for him. First run was to Brunson for 6, and now a deep shot here for Gabbert down the field towards the middle. It's incomplete. The intended target was Reggie Virgil. RedHawks wanted a flag, but none coming as that ball was overthrown. 48 seconds into half 2, and it's 3rd down and 4 for Miami, and a game tied at 3. It is manageable for the RedHawks. 2 receivers either side, tight to the formation for Gabbert. Clapson gets the snap, has time. Gabbert now rolling to the far side. Gabbert sets and throws on the run, looking for Virgil, and he couldn't hold on. Across the 50-yard line, Gabbert used some craftiness to find Virgil. His feet were set laterally to where he was throwing, and he hit Virgil in the hands, but he couldn't make the grab at the Northwestern 48. That would have been a huge chunk play for Miami of about 22 yards. Instead, the RedHawks will bring on Alec Bevelheimer to punt.
Northwestern brought pressure on that play, and Gabbert, probably his best job navigating the pocket and navigating away from that pressure. And he made a nice throw on the run to Virgil, just unable to bring that one in, and another 3 and out for the RedHawks.
End over end punt for Bevelheimer is caught by Henning, running to the near side, now breaks through a little bit. 3 tacklers missed for Miami, and out across the 35 goes Henning. He's marked down at the 38. Outside of that one fumble for the RedHawks that they recovered in Northwestern territory, Wildcats far and away had the better of the field position battle in that first half, but the RedHawks held them out of the end zone. And now we will see Mike Wright come out with this offense for half number 2. 10 for 16 for 72 yards in half number 1. And on the ground for the Wildcats, 15 rushes for 66 yards. They'll get their first chance on the offensive end. Ball on the right hash, 38-yard line of the Wildcats. Game tied at 3. Just over 2 minutes gone by second half. A clap and a snap for Wright, throwing far side. A high lofted pass is complete. And it's Henning leaning across the first down marker right out to midfield. A.J. Henning again making his presence known to the tune of a 12-yard catch right at midfield. The ball is marked, and Northwestern will move the chains.
And Mike Wright hasn't shown a ton of zip on that ball so far in this game, but what he has shown is touch. And you saw it on that play there, Henning with the diving catch, but Wright just floated it right over the defender there on the edge for Miami and was able to complete that pass. And this is something that Northwestern has done a few times, cashed in on first down immediately and then gone backwards the following play.
Out of the pistol, a handoff goes up the middle, and it's Porter swung around and down at the 46-yard line after a gain of 4 on first down. 3.9 yards per carry last year for Porter in what was just a churning, slow-moving type of run game, but used well for the captain, Cam Porter, 7th in the Big Ten in plays from scrimmage last year. He has carried the load in the backfield again in the opener of his graduate season. 2nd down and 6 coming up for the Wildcats. Ball just to the right of the left hash. 2 receivers on the right, none to the left as Wright takes the snap, looking right, throws, pass complete, wide open to Henning, and he gets near the sticks to the 40 before stepping out of bounds. They will mark him a shadow short, it appears, and it will be 3rd down and inches for the Wildcats from the Miami 41.
Not sure if Henning knew how open he was. He had plenty of space after he caught that ball, just kind of ran out of bounds there. But this is a couple times we've seen Mike Wright has had a lot of success attacking the sidelines with A.J. Henning and some of these receivers on the outside.
Again, pistol, one tight end offset to the left on 3rd down and inches. The snap and the handoff, it's faked. Wright will keep and dive forward to the 38-yard line and a 1st down for the Wildcats. We've seen Wright pull a couple of times. And while the arm has not shown tremendous strength at times today, he has shown some really good finesse, both with those touch throws and also with the misdirection on the ground. Another keep for a couple yards.
Yeah, kind of surprised Northwestern hasn't gone back to that read option more often, as Miami has had kind of a tough time, and Mike Wright has found himself in wide open space a couple of times. He might have even had a little bit of space around the edge there. Playing it conservative and taking the 1st down was an intelligent decision there, given the ball security issues he's had in the first half.
Straight in the middle of the field, 1st and 10. Wright, play fake, throwing near side. It is incomplete. He was looking for Covey.
And that was Rayon Strader there on the coverage, and he had Covey blanketed on the outside. And that was another sort of a fade route to the sideline that Mike Wright was trying to hit Covey on. And Strader just had him blanketed. Might have had a chance to make a play on that ball if he turned around a little bit sooner, but great coverage by the sophomore.
Freshman All-American Rayon Strader, he's in his sophomore year, and he's CB1 for this Miami team. 2nd and 10, and the Wildcats will take the snap and hand it off. This is Joseph Hyman, is stacked up right at the line of scrimmage. Not seeing the redshirt sophomore and former Arkansas Gatorade Player of the Year get a ton of touches today. That goes for no gain, and it's 3rd down and 10. Coming up for the Wildcats from the Miami 38. 11:01 to go and counting, 3rd quarter. Miami and Northwestern locked in at 3 here from Lakeside, Northwestern Medicine Field. Boats moving back and forth in the background. It's felt like this game has been played in water sometimes, the way these offenses have moved. Northwestern looking for a 3rd and long conversion, or at least attack field goal range. Wright claps, gets the snap, has plenty of time. Now facing pressure, he'll step up and run. Now Wright will pump and throw wide open to the far side. He's got his tight end, Gordon, working to the middle of the field. Gordon inside the 15, and he is dropped by the shoelace at the 13-yard line.
A beautiful awareness there by Wright. He put his head down, and he was intent on scrambling, but the tight end just leaks behind the defense there. Thomas Gordon made himself available for Wright, and a beautifully thrown ball. And Gordon had plenty of space and made a nice cutback to maximize that play in Miami. This is the most precarious position since the end of that first half when Northwestern found themselves on the 1-yard line. We'll see if Miami is able to hold here.
1st and 10, Northwestern from the Miami 13-yard line. Wright has the snap, looking right to throw. Now pocket collapsing, Wright stepping up, and he's got room to run. Wright needling down the center of the field, diving for the end zone. Touchdown, Northwestern. 13-yard run for Mike Wright, and extending plays with his legs after a bit of a lackluster first half from him. That was a masterful drive from the grad student and transfer from Mississippi State First team in the end zone is Northwestern in the second half. They take a 9-3 lead with 9:42 left to play in the third.
Both of these teams have struggled significantly on offense in enemy territory, and Mike Wright just taking matters into his own hands on those last two plays, getting out of the pocket on that previous play to find Gordon, and then there with the pocket collapsing, wide open in the middle of the field, using his legs to burst through the middle and score that touchdown. And a quick, efficient drive for Northwestern. And it looks like we might be going to a review here. It looked like Wright might have given himself up just before he crossed the goal line there. It wouldn't be anything more than a couple of inches if they bring this back.
Yeah, it wasn't a full-fledged dive headfirst forward, and you'd hope not in your season opener, right? Mike Wright kind of did that crumple dive to protect himself a little bit, met some contact, and like you said, he was, virtually right on that goal line when he went down. The only question is, was he a few inches shorter actually in? So you're either looking at a first and goal from probably inside the 1 yard line for Northwestern, or just having the call stand at touchdown. As it stands, it's 9-3 Wildcats with 9:42 to go. With the touchdown, the call on the field. And again, either way for Miami, you already got to stop from inside your own once, but probably not going to happen twice. Imagine things will move on pretty quickly here for this review. Hoping this offense can adjust, though, a little bit here. Addison in a return game for Miami that was pretty good last season. The best unit in the MAC, as the PA mic from the officials a little bit messed up, but he gets his point across via signal that the call stands of a touchdown. Hoping it can get you some better field position and you can give your offense maybe a better chance to put some points on the board when they get the ball back. So on to attempt the extra point for the Wildcats comes Jack Olson. Did not miss a PAT last year. Hunter Renner will provide the hold, the punter for the Wildcats. Snap down, and the kick is right down Broadway, into the stands, right down the middle, the bleachers behind the end zone. Northwestern is the first team to find the end zone this afternoon. It took 35 minutes for a team to do it after a couple of field goals. Miami with some adjustments to make. And for the second time in this game, the RedHawks will have to play from behind, this time by a TD. 9:42 to go in this third quarter. And our score, Northwestern 10 and Miami 3. We'll take a short break here from Northwestern Medicine Field and be back in a moment. You're listening to Miami Football on Red Hawk Radio. second. Evanston Northwestern has found the end zone as the Wildcats on a 13-yard run by Mike Wright have jumped in front of the Miami RedHawks 10-3. Got some fans on the video board enjoying the game from the lake. Can you believe that? They've got some trees to look through, but through the foliage you can get the gist of what's going on. We got a great view of the lake here from our vantage point in this really cool and unique setup. First time it's opened, the christening of this temporary stadium, while the new Ryan Field, state-of-the-art, will be completed over the next few years. Northwestern up 10-3 on Miami. RedHawks got the ball back to begin the second half. They were unsuccessful, needing to punt. RedHawks will look to adjust as the kick is away and back towards Kevin Davis, who will track it at his own 3-yard line. Davis running towards the far side, now back up the middle. Northwestern swarms him, and again, down he goes. Miami's return game has just been torturing this offense with field position, and that's the opposite of how it was last season. Down at the 15-yard line, there were just no blockers there, and Miami again will have a long field to work with.
Northwestern's kick coverage has consistently swarmed, and it's been a huge factor in this game. Not something you typically see that would affect a game as much as it has affected this one, but Miami, as you said, has been consistently set up on their deep in their own territory, and no different here.
Two receivers left and one to the right for Brett Gabbert. Gets the snap, and it's a handoff. Countering to the near side. It looks like Brunson spun around and backed towards the 20-yard line, a yard shy at the 19. 4-yard gain on first down. And rather that, I believe, was Davis who had the carry. And so it will be 2nd and 6 for the RedHawks, 9:16 and rolling to go third quarter. Miami down 10-3.
And this becomes the most important drive of the game thus far for Miami, as Northwestern proved on their last drive that they were able to get a little bit of rhythm offensively, found some juice behind the legs of Mike Wright. Miami needs to answer back here in order to keep this game within striking distance.
Gabbert play fake, slings far side, complete. McDonald to the perimeter. McDonald running across the 30-yard line to the 33. He's knocked out of bounds at the 34-yard line by Theron Johnson, a redshirt junior from Indy for Northwestern. That's a big gain for the RedHawks, a first down for Miami to the 34.
Yeah, veteran play there from Gabbert, feeling that pressure from the right side, dodging it, navigating out to that side, and throwing a beautiful pass to McDonald on the run. Cade McDonald has been by far the most reliable receiver for the RedHawks on the field today.
Gabbert gets a shotgun snap, and it's a handoff to the near side. It's Mosey with a little seam. Mosey swimming through the 40-yard line, and he's put on the turf at the 41. 7-yard pickup on first down for Keon Mosey. He had a huge game the last time these two teams met, one of his first in a Miami uniform after transferring in from Kansas State during the 2022 season. 171 yards, a career high against these Wildcats a couple of years ago, and now tasked as RB1 for the time being for this Miami team, along with Kevin Davis when he's in the slot. 2nd down and 3 coming up for the RedHawks. Ball on the left hash to the RedHawk 41-yard line. Miami down 10-3 with 7:44 to go. Clock running in this third quarter. Gabbert claps and gets an easy snap, looking has plenty of time, but now he's gobbled up. Gabbert just did not see the rusher coming through the line. It's Najee Story, the Ohio native from Solon, takes down Gabbert back near the original sticks. It's a loss of 7 and 3rd and 10 coming up for Miami.
Gabbert had plenty of open receivers there, just very indecisive. Looked like he had Davis out of the backfield. He had McDonald underneath, but that rush just collapsed a lot quicker, I think, than Gabbert expected it to. And that brings up another 3rd and long when Miami had gained significant ground and set up a 2nd and short. That's the second time that Miami's done that to themselves with a sack on 2nd and short to put them in a 3rd and long position.
3rd down and 10. Gabbert gets the snap, looking to throw, pressure off the edge, pass complete to the near side. McDonald breaks 2 tackles, and he's swung down by the 3rd across midfield. Cade McDonald, another big catch for the former Spartan from Michigan State into Northwestern territory to the 47-yard line. That's plenty for a first down.
Gabbert had to rifle that one in there. Devin Turner on the coverage on the far left side. Had a beat on that one, and McDonald received that ball, was able to make a man miss. And Cade McDonald's impact has been felt significantly in this one.
18-yard pickup for Cade McDonald. Now up to 6 receptions for 75 yards for number 15 in white. First and 10 for Miami into Northwestern territory at the Wildcat 47. Ball resting on the left hash. Gabbard Clapson gets the snap. He'll check it down. It's Davis on the outside, spinning around. Rather, that's Dylan Downing that is tiptoeing the sideline. We'll see where they mark him out. Looks like at the 44. 3-yard pickup for Downing. First game for him in a Red Hawk uniform after transferring in from Purdue. Carmel, Indiana native and former state champ in Indiana with the Greyhounds, gains 3. Second down and 7 coming up for Miami. Ball on the Northwestern 44-yard line with the Redhawks down 10-3. 5:42 left to go with the clock rolling in this third. Miami sets up. Receiver left along with tight end stacked next to the line. 2 receivers split out wide to the right. Gabbard from the shotgun. 4 yards past the line of scrimmage. Claps his hands 3 times and now has the snap. It's a handoff and up the middle. Purple jerseys all over it for no gain. Keon Mosey got the handoff and did not get back to the line. He loses 2 on second down. Another 3rd and long coming up for the Redhawks. This time they'll need 9.
And not sure that was the right read on the RPO there from Brett Gabbard. Looked like he had cold iron leaking out into the flat there. It's happened a few times where Mosey has gotten stuck behind the offensive line because Northwestern's been able to get so much push up the middle.
Miami's been better on 3rd down of late, but 4 for 10 overall in the game. 3rd down and 9 from the left hash on the Northwestern 46. 2 receivers either side. Gabbard out of the gun. Gets the snap, facing pressure in a 5-man rush. Gabbard sets his feet, airmailing it deep down the middle of the field and past his man, incomplete. Looking for Reggie Virgil and overshot him by about 10 yards. It looked like Virgil stumbled a bit when breaking for his route on the post. Miami will be forced to punt.
And Gabbard hasn't quite found the touch on that deep ball. We've seen him try it out a few times. That was well covered there by Northwestern. Ready for Miami to try and take the top off the defense there. And now forcing Miami into another punting situation. And we'll see if Henning can kind of dig them out of this field position, but it looks like Miami's going to have Northwestern pinned back deep in their own territory.
Henning standing on his own 9-yard line. Bevelheimer's punt, end over end towards the sideline. Walters looking for it. He touches it out of bounds. Did he get it outside the pylon? He did. Silas Walters, who was a finalist for National Special Teams Player of the Year last year, led the nation in special teams tackles. That ball was coming over his head receiver style. It bounced in front of him, and he tried to get his hands on it, but instead just batted it out of bounds. About 20 feet high. The question was where. It did not quite arrive to the goal line, and it will be marked at the Northwestern 3, where the Wildcat offense will come back out for it. 1st and 10. Job well done for Alec Bevelheimer and the punt unit. Silas Walters providing the down as the Wildcats have a long field to work with, but up a score. It's 10-3 with 4:29 to go in the third. We'll return to Northwestern Medicine Field after a short break. You're listening to Miami Football on Red Hawk Radio. (10-3) our score. Northwestern in front of Miami here on the shores of the lake from Northwestern Medicine Field alongside Addison Lenhart. I'm Luke Poley. Thanks for being with us here in week 1 Miami off next week before the big matchup. Battle for the victory bell coming up in the home opener at Yeager in a couple weeks. For now, 4:29 left to go in this one with Miami down 7, but the punt unit helped them out, pinning Northwestern at their own 3-yard line where the offense is out. Mike Wright claps and takes the snap. It's a handoff for Komalev on first down. Little bit of air for his offense across the 5 and out to the 8-yard line. He scampers. 5-yard pickup on first down. 2nd and 5 coming up for the Wildcats, who will peer towards the sideline.
We kind of alluded to it in the break a bit. This is a big drive for this Miami defense. They've got Northwestern backed up in their own territory. There's a lot of space for Northwestern to work, though. And if they're able to get some rhythm going and drive down the field, it's going to shave a lot of time on this clock. And if they're able to put points on the board, it's going to put Miami in a precarious position with not a lot of possessions left for them to come back in this one.
Play clock under 10. Wright claps and linebackers crash but don't jump for Miami. RedHawks bring heat as the snap is back. Wright looking towards the far side and wide open has his man. Bryce Kurtz out of bounds at the 21-yard line.
It seems like Miami's DBs are playing extremely conservative on the outside, giving up that sideline, trying not to let any Northwestern receivers behind them, but they've given up that play consistently in this one. And Mike Wright has really not shown any sort of threat to throw the deep ball or try and take the top off the defense. We'll see if Miami tries to make an adjustment there because it's bit him a few times.
4 catches for 36 yards. Check it, 50 yards for Kurtz. 1st and 10 Northwestern on their own 22. Wright gets the snap and fakes the handoff. Back with time to throw, looking deep down the field towards the near sideline. It is caught, blanketed. It's Kurtz again. All over his back was the DB for the RedHawks. That was Luke Evans back there for Miami, but it did not matter. He couldn't break it up, and Bryce Kurtz hauls it in for a big gain out to the Miami 45.
That was textbook coverage there by Evans. Had Kurtz on his hip and turned around at the correct time, just couldn't get a hand on it, and Kurtz was able to haul it in.
Handoff goes to Komalev, running in the backfield for his life. He is crumpled up behind the line of scrimmage at the 46-yard line of Miami. It'll go down as a yard loss for the redshirt freshman Matt Salopek in on the stop for the RedHawks. 2nd and 11 coming up with 2:20 left to go in the 3rd quarter. Northwestern up 7, looking to make it more from the Miami 46.
This is where Miami's defense so far in this game has been pretty strong in this part of the field. They've been able to keep Northwestern at bay. And this is becoming a very crucial drive, just as we said. Northwestern starting to shave a lot of time off the clock.
Right in the pistol, 2 receivers either side, now motioning the tight end, tight to the left of the line. Has the snap, booting out to the left side, fires a bullet far side, flag in as it's incomplete. Rayon Schrader, it looked like, was providing the coverage for Miami, and he will get whistled for PI.
And yeah, Schrader was a little bit physical, and yeah, it looked like he was holding back Kurtz on the left side, trying to get back to that ball. That's exactly what the officials saw. And a costly penalty. They got the stop there. Would have brought up 3rd down.
Beg your pardon, holding the call rather on Schrader. So that will push Northwestern to the RedHawk 36. And a fresh set of downs for the Wildcats from there with the ball in the middle of the field. Clock stopped, 1:51 to go, 3rd quarter. Northwestern on top of Miami by a touchdown. It's 10-3. And Mike Wright of the offense out in a pistol formation. Tight end stacked behind the left side of the line. Snap sees right to a crouch, but hands it off up the middle and launching forward Porter with a big gain up the middle to the 29. As looked like a big burst of speed might have got him even a little more than that, but he picks up 7 on first down, and that'll do to set up 2nd and short.
Wouldn't be surprised to see Miami dial up a little bit of pressure here if Northwestern decides to go with a pass. Try and force Northwestern back a little bit further. Kind of on the long side of field goal range here on 2nd down.
2nd down and 3. Wright claps his hands. Miami showing all kinds of pressure. They'll rush 5. Right back to throw. Flings to the far side. It is caught. Calvin Johnson, the second, leaning into it outside the 20. The 21-yard line will be the spot on the crouching catch. Johnson, who had just 4 receptions last year, makes the grab on the edge of the red zone. They'll mark him just outside the 20 for a Northwestern first down.
And Luke Evans, the redshirt freshman, is getting picked on the outside right now by Mike Wright and these Northwestern receivers. That's the 2nd or 3rd time, I believe the 2nd time that he's been caught on an island on that corner route with plenty of space for the Northwestern receivers to make the catch.
Wright fakes the run, now pulls it back, and backing past the pile, ends up running himself back to his line of scrimmage where he goes down. So another option play there for Wright. Could have handed it off for maybe 2 or 3 for Porter. Could have gone down when he held it for 2 or 3. Instead, looking for more, backed up and ended up going down right back at the original line. No gain, and it will stop at the 20. Game clock is out of the question now, and that means Northwestern will take this to the break. That was a quick one. Wildcats will take it to the 4th quarter. We've got 15 minutes left to play, and Northwestern leads Miami by a score of 10-3. Should be a fun finish. Miami defense in desperate need of a stop when we come back. 2nd and 10 from the RedHawk 20 for the Wildcats upon our return. You're listening to Miami football from Evanston, Illinois on RedHawk Radio. Into the 4th we go from Evanston. Our score, Northwestern 10 and Miami 3. Wildcats driving. Most recently, though, a run for no gain has them 2nd down and 10 from the RedHawk 20. Ball on the left hash alongside Addison Lenhart. I'm Luke West Poley. We were tied at 3 at the half. And a 13-yard run from Mike Wright lifted Northwestern in front. 10-3. They're looking to add to that and make it a 2-score game. Wildcats have eaten all kinds of clock on the offensive side. 15 minutes left to go. Shotgun formation for the Northwestern offense. Wright's got 1 receiver left, 3 to the right. Takes the snap, backing, has time to throw, looking to the far side towards the end zone. It's off the fingertips, incomplete, of Bryce Kurtz. Pretty well placed back shoulder throw there. Again, it's Evans on the matchup, who Northwestern has gone after defensively for Miami. But this time, just not much real estate for the top receiving target for Northwestern to work with. And it's 3rd down and 10.
And this is a huge 3rd down for this Miami defense. Need to get a stop here in order to stall this drive out. Give yourself at least a little bit of time to get down the field if Northwestern's able to cash in on a field goal on 4th down, assuming that they would be able to get the stop here.
Wright gets the snap on 3rd down, looking again, end zone, and it is incomplete. Silas Walters in on the coverage on Henning. And it looks like that throw to the inside was waiting on a Henning break that never happened as he made his way to the exterior. Northwestern will try to go up 2 scores with a field goal 9 seconds into the 4th quarter, looking to make it 13-3. This one will be from 37 yards out for Jack Olson, who's already connected from outside of 40 today. Wind a little bit at his back, but in all honesty, helping really nobody, kicking right to left as it's swirling a bit as well. Just inside the left dash, it's Olson. Renner's hold is good. The kick is up, and it is good. He snuck it inside the left upright, and Olsen just barely ekes it through to put Northwestern up 2 scores. 14:47 to go here, fourth quarter. Miami defense gets that stop they were looking for, but does surrender 3. The Wildcats now lead it by 10 with our score 13-3.
And an interesting decision, I think, on second and third down by Northwestern, not to run the ball a single time. A real opportunity, I think, to let some clock bleed at least a little bit. And they could have really put this game pretty far out of reach for Miami, who's shown that they really have not been able to get any sort of rhythm going on offense. And now you're asking them to not only score twice, but one of them has to be a touchdown in the span of 14 minutes when Northwestern's done a pretty good job controlling the clock at the end of the half, as they did in the first half with that drive that ended in a turnover. But we're going to have to see something out of Brett Gabbert here and this Miami offense. The pressure is on them to get down the field and put some sort of points on the board in order to get this down to a one-possession game. Get your defense back onto the field with some decent field position, hopefully defensively, in order to get a stop and get the ball back with a chance to either tie or take the lead.
When you think back to Power 4 upsets of recent times for Miami, it was around this point in the game where some sort of breaking point was hit. You think back to the game against Northwestern 2 years ago, it was a Keon Mosey run of over 60 yards that got the RedHawks inside the Northwestern 5 and really broke things open. For Miami, it's felt like they've done the right things to stay competitive in the game, but looking for that big play to be made to push them over the edge, whether offensively or defensively, especially in this second half.
Yeah, they've executed pretty well defensively, all things considered. Only have allowed 1 touchdown, and it was on a sort of a broken play, 2 broken plays in a row really from Northwestern that kind of broke down that Miami defense. But they have, as you said, not been able to find any sort of playmaking on offense. And it's going to have to come on this drive. Time's starting to wind down in the fourth quarter here. And Northwestern certainly starting to feel some of that momentum, feel a little bit more confident on the defensive side of the ball as they've been able to string together multiple stops in a row ever since Miami was able to get on the board initially.
Miami's average drive start their own 22. That's not great, and it's heavily influenced by taking over once in Northwestern territory thanks to a fumble. Things will all start on this kickoff, heading right to left off the foot of Northwestern's Luke Ayers. Kevin Davis back deep on the right hash, heels on the goal line for Miami. The boot comes back to him, and with wind at the back, Davis says no thanks. It lands 9 yards deep in the end zone, and Miami will start from the 25. You'll take that for the RedHawks. Kickoffs have been anything but a given today for Miami, who has not run one out to the 25 yet. Miami will grab the touchback. 1st and 10 RedHawks with 14:47 to go in the fourth quarter from Northwestern Medicine Field, Lakeside. Miami trails Northwestern 13-3. RedHawks being outgained 267 to 157, and again, things haven't looked poor from Brett Gabbert. 12 for 21, 123 yards, but in need of some of that fine-tuning, taking less sacks, and finding some touch on those balls down the field.
Yeah, absolutely. Really hasn't been able to find, as you said, that touch on the deep ball. A couple of opportunities have opened up, one with Reggie Virgil, one with Kevin Davis, but Northwestern has done a good job covering over the top and really thwarted those opportunities that Miami has tried to open up. What they've really found success is pushing the ball to the sideline with Cade McDonald. They've really been able to do that a few times for some big chunk plays. But, you know, the other thing that they've done well is kind of get it in space to Kevin Davis on those screen passes and Keon Mosey. And with time winding down, those are just not going to cut it. They're going to have to get some chunk plays through the air with so little time remaining and down 2 possessions. And we're going to see if these Miami receivers can do a little bit better job also creating separation deep. Like Brett Gabbert hasn't been fantastic throwing the ball deep down the field, but of course the Miami receivers haven't exactly given him a ton of separation to throw into.
5 RedHawks have rushing yards on the ground. Just 4 of them have yards through the air, and only 2 for Miami, those being Cade McDonald and Kevin Davis, have more than 1 touch on a pass so far here in this afternoon turned night. Again, getting the ball out to your playmakers. The feeling out stage of this game, which seemed like it lasted for a great length even into the second half, is over, and now really have to hit pedal to the metal. Miami's had Cade McDonald working, but needs some weapons around him to start moving as well, I should say. Javon Tracy will line up outside of him on the right side. Those the two to the wide side of the field with the Miami offense back out. Ball on the left hash, 25-yard line of the RedHawks, 14:47 to go in the fourth quarter. Miami down 13-3 to the Northwestern Wildcats in each of these teams' season opener. Got to go guns a-blazing for Miami. No reason to leave anything out. They've got a bye week next week before Cincinnati. Final quarter of play for this Miami offense in a couple of weeks. Gabbert arms out to his sides, dries the hands off. Clapson gets the shotgun snap, looking back to throw. He'll check it down on the far side. It's Brunson, room to run up the tightrope far side. Gets beyond the 30 and leaning towards the 35, where he worms between two defenders and he's brought down. 10-yard gain, get him right out to the 35-yard line. It's a first down, tackle by Evan Smith, the Birmingham, Alabama native, back in coverage for Northwestern. A nice 10-yard pickup from the RedHawks.
Yeah, Brunson's been great when he's been able to get downhill in this game. The few carries he's had, when he's found space, he's been able to burst through those holes and put some pressure on this Northwestern defense. And just tripping and falling there in the backfield.
Yeah, run up the middle to him, just went nowhere. Stopped up by his own legs. It goes for about a 1-yard loss. Second down and 11 here for Miami, and a little bit of a damper on what the RedHawks did, trying to use some of that tempo. The RedHawks will bring Dylan Downing back into the game off the sideline.
You just can't have those negative plays that happen on the ground. An interesting play call there to go with the run game, the way Northwestern's been able to bottle it up in the middle.
Gabbert back to throw on 2nd and 11, fires it far side, catch made. Jack Coldiron making the grab. His first catch since the season opener against the Miami Hurricanes last year. Injured for the season with a knee injury. Targeted a couple of times, but that's his first grab after dropping 2. He's out to the 50-yard line. Gain of about 16 and a Miami first down.
Yeah, Coldiron hasn't been targeted a ton in this game, as you said, but he showed his athleticism there, and a nice throw by Brett Gabbert to fit that one between the Northwestern defense and get that first down. And Miami's starting to build a little bit of rhythm here, something we haven't seen too much from them in this game.
Loud clap from Gabbert. Again back to throw. He checks it down. It's batted down. Looking for Downing, who had some space down the far sideline. That exact type of play went for 10 earlier on, but this time someone on the interior lineman. Gabbert Clapson gets the snap, backing to throw. He pumps, and now he'll loft it to the far side, incomplete. There was no one there for Miami. And this will set up a 3rd and long, and this situation has gotten far tougher for this offense right at midfield.
And it looked like Downing just couldn't get out of his route there. Looked like a screen pass was trying to be set up there. And Northwestern did a good job diagnosing that and making the play. And this becomes the biggest 3rd down of the game thus far for Miami, going 5 wide here.
Empty set for Brett Gabbert. 3 right, 2 left. Gabbert out of the gun. Northwestern dialing up pressure. At least they're showing it. They bring 4. Gabbert back, throwing high, tipped and intercepted. He hit Tracy in the hands, but he couldn't hold on, and Evan Smith comes down with it for the Wildcats at their own 32-yard line. Drive over with 12:45 to go in the 4th. Northwestern will take over up 10.
And that one just sailed on Gabbert way too high for Javon Tracy to try and make a catch on that one. Gave his best effort, and Northwestern opportunistic on the defensive end. Those tips and overthrows can be really costly for an offense, and proved to be the case there for Miami. And now, if you're Northwestern, you're in chew clock, run the ball mode with 12:45 up 2 possessions in this one.
RedHawks have conserved their timeouts, but this is going to be an uphill battle. 12:45 to go, 4th quarter. We'll take a break from Northwestern Medicine Field at Martin Stadium. Our score, Wildcats 13 and Miami 3, with NU set to get the ball back upon our return. You're listening to Miami football on Red Hawk Radio. 12:45 to go. Miami down 13-3 to Northwestern. Wildcats got the ball back following an interception on 3rd and long and a tip drill, and they'll take over on their own 33-yard line. It's pretty much now or never for this Miami defense to hold Northwestern off the scoreboard, at least keep this a 2-possession game. Miami forced a couple of fumbles in that first half. Gonna need some of that magic here right now for a Northwestern team that has chewed clock well in this one. Mike Wright out with the offense in the shotgun formation, gets a high snap and fakes the handoff on 1st down. Lineman crashing in, airing deep down the field, underthrown and incomplete. Luke Evans back in coverage. We've seen that target a lot as he was in coverage of Bryce Kurtz. Northwestern continues to pepper that matchup, but the throw a little offline and about 2 yards into the sideline.
Yeah, they were looking for that 15, 20-yard out route that they've been really cashing in on, targeting Luke Evans there, but Evans was ready for that one, did a nice job covering Kurtz on the break, and then when he broke up the field was able to blanket him. Just an interesting choice to go play action and pass there, I think, from Northwestern.
They'll hand off here on 2nd down, and a flag flies in immediately as the RedHawks swallow up the run. I believe that was Hyman, and it was, who picks up about 2 yards. We'll check on the flag. Offensive holding is the call. And the 10-yard penalty will keep the down for Northwestern, but negate the 2-yard play and back them up, make it 2nd and 20 for the Wildcats from their own 23.
Costly mistake there by Northwestern. Kind of changes the outlook of things on this drive. And the clock is going to run now, but Miami maybe feeling a little bit more life with the way this drive has started, getting that incomplete pass and now backing Northwestern up significantly behind the chains. Got to take advantage of this opportunity and get off the field.
Seemed like they did in these situations in the first half, have struggled a bit in the second. Play clock at 3, 2 and 1. Snap off for Wright, backing up, facing pressure, lifts it to the near side and nowhere close, incomplete. There was a receiver in the area code, Henning, but about 10 yards in front of him. Mostly the objective for Wright to just get rid of that ball, who Wright, being, if for nothing else in this game, has done a really good job when facing pressure to just get rid of the football, and whether it's gone for a catch or not, he's avoided that pressure, known when to escape and known when to just throw in the towel. 3rd and 20 coming up for the Wildcats.
Yeah, he's felt the pressure really well. He's gotten rid of it. He's been able to navigate out of the pocket really well in this second half. But Miami's coverage so far on these first 2 plays has been huge, and it's given them an opportunity now to get off the field on 3rd and long.
3rd and 20, and the Wildcats will hand it off. It is Hyman down the far side, maybe getting a couple, but still kept within his own 30-yard line. Stacked up at the 27. Salopek, Trick, Wise, whole gang of Hawks in there for Miami. Salopek will get credit for the tackle, and Northwestern will bring on the punt unit. 11:45 and trimming now left on the clock. 13-3 our score with Northwestern in front of Miami, and a big stop for the Miami defense. Now hoping Cade McDonald can potentially get something going in the return game, standing at his own 27-yard line.
Wouldn't be surprised to see Miami try and come after this. Northwestern.
Punt is away. Whistles galore, though, as it lands at the 32-yard line. There's a flag down. And this might back Northwestern up. The PA was a little bit mumbled, but something about a player not being set on the line of scrimmage for Northwestern and a false start call. And so that will back the Wildcats up 5 more yards inside their own 20, and that allows McDonald to now stand with his toes on his own 40-yard line. Wind continuing to swirl from the perspective of Northwestern punter Luke Ayers. It is right to left. And he is kicking right to left with maybe a hair of backwind. RedHawks looking like they'll bring the house here. And the punt is away without too much trouble. Sky kick is going to take the return game out. McDonald calls for a fair catch and stumbling backward makes it at the 31-yard line. Pretty good punt there for Luke Ayers, not only pushing the returner and McDonald backward from his post, but also forcing out the fair catch. McDonald has been bottled up in the return game, unable to really get one going as he's had to fair catch everything so far today. 11-10 left to go in this one, and Miami down 13-3. Brett Gabbert in the offense back out when we return. RedHawks down 10 from Evanston, looking to get something going in the fourth. You're listening to Miami Football on Red Hawk Radio. .11-10 to go, fourth quarter from the Miami 31. Red Hawk offense back on the field, down 10, 13-3 our score for Brett Gabbert and company. They've shown flashes in the pan, looking for some more consistency, and not just looking for it, desperate for it. They need it to stay alive. This feels like a must-score drive for this Red Hawk team after a big stop from the defense. Two receivers either side for Gabbert. Gets a shotgun snap and has time to throw, zips it over the middle, catch made. Connecting with Virgil, he's clapped over the middle by Johnson in coverage, but right at the sticks, Virgil will pick up 10, and it's a Miami first down to the 41.
Gabbert's been really good looking to that left middle side of the field. A lot of his completions coming in that soft spot of the Northwestern defense, and a generous spot there from the officials to give Virgil that first down. And Miami's just got to establish some consistency here.
Fourth target, first catch for Reggie Virgil in the game. First and 10, Gabbert shotgun snap, this time underneath. Catch made, McDonald escapes. To the far side, Cade McDonald into Northwestern territory and scampering out of bounds at the Wildcat 36. Cade McDonald on another level today. That's his 7th reception, knocking on the door of 100 yards receiving. Miami will take it at the 35-yard line of the Wildcats, first and 10 with 10:17 left to go.
In the second half, McDonald's made a big difference after the catch as well, spinning out of that route, getting to the sideline, getting out of bounds as well after that gain.
Two receivers right, one to the left for Gabbert. Has the snap, backing, looking, throwing far side. Airmailed Virgil, incomplete. Threw that into the first row beyond the Miami bench. Just not dialed into the window there for Gabbert. And his first miss on this drive sees it be second down and 10 for Miami. Ball on the left hash to the Northwestern 35. Clock halted. 10:01 left to go with the RedHawks down 2 scores at 13-3, looking to find the end zone for the first time. McDonald, by the way, mentioned knocking on the door. Official tally, 99 yards receiving on 7 catches for Kate. Second down and 10. Gabbert has the snap to his right, looking, now will duck, and still on his feet. Gabbert escapes, throwing backside. It is caught by McDonald. He gets blown up, and a flag comes in behind the play, and this might be a roughing the passer call. Wow, Brett Gabbert looked like he was throwing in the towel on that play. Just leaned forward and looked content to take the sack and protect himself. Somehow stayed on his feet, backed up, threw it to Cade McDonald on the backside, who caught it for about a 9-yard gain. McDonald got lit up but hung on. Gabbert got lit up as well. That's a roughing the passer call on the Wildcats, and Miami in business. The penalty will move them into the red zone.
We've talked about Gabbert's inability to really navigate pressure in this game. He's had a tough time getting out of sacks and kind of diagnosing pressure from the edge, but he did a nice job there staying on his feet. And then Tyler Gant with an ill-advised play, giving Miami 15 additional yards at the end of that one.
Brings it down to the 15. RedHawks will play fake it and now fake the flip. Throw to the near side is caught by Cold Iron and worms out of an initial tackle. It gets around the 11-yard line before he's pushed out of bounds. Stop made on the play for Northwestern. Looked like by an interior lineman. It was Tyler Gant that just had the penalty. Second down and 7. They'll call it after a 3-yard gain. Some misdirection from the Miami offense. Clock churning as we approach 9 minutes to play. The RedHawks down 10, and they've got it from the Northwestern 11.
We'll see how aggressive Miami is with these next couple plays. A touchdown is not a total necessity here. Can still get it down to a one-possession game with a field goal, which is why that roughing the passer was such a huge call.
Handoff up the middle for the RedHawks. Not much room for Brunson. Maybe a couple of yards. Actually got a second push and a nice spot. He'll get about 3 or 4 there. I beg your pardon. That's going to mark him at about the 13-yard line. This sets up an intriguing third down of about 2 yards. Looks like no room was there, and somehow something positive to get Miami awfully close to the sticks. Here we go. Beg your pardon, the ball now inside the 10 for Miami down to the 8, and it's third down and about 4 for the RedHawks. Gabbert gets the snap. Handoff goes to Brunson, worming through the middle. He is short, down to the 7-yard line. Gain of about 2 yards, and it's decision time for Chuck Martin. What do you want to do with under 8 left to play, down 10?
I think it's a no-brainer to bring on the field goal kicking unit, but it looks like Chuck Martin's going to be aggressive here.
Miami will go. RedHawks last season were the worst team on 4th down in the MAC. 4th down, and they'll call it a long 2. Gabbert operating out of the shotgun from the Northwestern 5. And David Braun didn't like the look. Timeout Northwestern.
I wonder if Miami will reconsider this. Looked like maybe maybe Miami was trying to get to the line quickly and try and draw Northwestern to get that first down the easy way. We'll see if there's any reconsideration here, and it does look like they're warming up. Dominic Jobin on the left side there.
Jobin 1 for 2 on kicks today. This one would be much shorter, about 24 yards for him. Line to gain is the 4. And ball is spotted at the 7. And I think the line to gain and the actual ball spot are about as close as they could be for what's officially 3 yards, but really like an ultra long 2. It's a gettable 4th down, but also maybe big eyes for a chance at cutting this back to a 1-score game for the RedHawks. 7:32 remains. Miami's down 13-3, and it looks like Dominic Jobin will come out to attempt a field goal try.
You can understand trying to be aggressive somewhat in certain situations on 4th down, trying to push the ball down the field a little bit more, but with this much time left and the position that they're in, basically a chip shot gimme field goal, you would think, from Dominic Jobin to cut that down to 1 possession. And Miami's defense has been very solid overall throughout the course of this game. They forced Northwestern into a lot of punting situations, which is what they're going to have to do on this following drive. I like the call to play it a little bit conservative here, just get it down to 1 possession and get the defense back out onto the field so they can get a stop and get Gabbert as much time as possible to drive down the field and try and put it in the end zone on the following drive.
And credit to this Northwestern team for taking advantage of opportunities, but on 2 of the 3 scoring drives, the field position has been solid for the Wildcats, and so the chance to get a field goal in, kick off, and make Northwestern work against your defense with a full field is something Miami will take at this point in time, down 2 scores. On comes Dominic Jobin, 1 for 2 today. Alec Bevelheimer will provide the hold. Hudson Powell, the new long snapper for the RedHawks, the redshirt sophomore, will provide the snap. This is a 26-yard attempt for the right footer down the middle of the field. Jobin, who was the starting punter 2 years ago for Miami, injured all of last season, starting kicking job for him this year, and 1 for 2 tonight. Kicking into a pretty stiff headwind. Hold is down, Jobin's kick is up, and it is good. Dominic Jobin from 26 yards out gets Miami's second score of the night. 7:28 remains in the game, and our score is Northwestern 13 and Miami 6. Promising drive. You hate to not find the end zone there if you're Miami, but just have to bite your tongue at this point. Your defense has been strong, needing to come up now with their biggest stop of the game. This team has made plenty of clutch plays over the years, and with a lot of continuity, you trust a lot of your veteran big guns on that side of the ball to go get this stop.
Yeah, absolutely, and they've stacked up physically against this Northwestern offense as well. They've made Mike Wright uncomfortable. They've jammed up a lot of running lanes for Cam Porter as well, and there's not a better time for this defense to step up and prove the reasons why they came back, to chase another MAC title, to chase a possible appearance in the college football playoff. And this is one of those wins that would go a long way towards enhancing the chances of that. And Miami's just got to be rock solid on defense here. Still plenty of time, 7:28, if you don't get off the field initially.
Kickoff is chipped short, and it is picked up for Northwestern. Running to the far side and breaking free by the return man, Wiesemann, out beyond the 35 to the 36-yard line.
And Miami special teams have just been uncharacteristically not great in this game. On their own kick returns, haven't been able to create a ton of space for their own kick returners, and then they're allowing what could end up being a costly return there from Wiesemann. But now focus shift towards the defense, and the linebackers have been stellar. Miami has covered very well on the back end. I think you're going to be looking at Bryan to try and put some pressure on Wright on this possession here. Northwestern has proven that they're not afraid to throw the ball, even in what seems like obvious running situations.
They will hand it off on first down to Porter, spinning on the right side of the line. He is stacked and dropped. Driven back, Cam Porter goes for no gain on first down. 2nd and 9 coming up. They'll give him an inch or two, enough to get him past the sticks.
And no need for Miami to use their timeouts yet with this much time on the clock. If they're able to get a 3 and out here, you're looking at them getting the ball back with probably a little over 5 minutes to go, or a little under 5 minutes to go rather, and all 3 timeouts if they can hold here. But Northwestern certainly keen to let the clock bleed as much as possible, you would think.
Under 6:40 to play. 13-6 Wildcats, and a handoff underneath, and room out near the 45. Goes Porter. He dives for the line to gain and is there. Gain of 10, first down. 45-yard line, the spot. And Northwestern can take 2 more minutes off the clock now with that first.
Snapping the ball with 6 seconds on the play clock there. Interesting from Mike Wright, but Porter, who's run well in this game when he's been able to find holes and get some space. He's an explosive back.
11 rushes, 59 yards for Cam Porter, the native of Cincinnati. High snap on first down. Rush goes his way again. He is met in the backfield and dropped. Ty Wise was not letting him by. Former conference foe and Indiana Hoosier, who spent a much more notable part of his career with this Miami team. A defensive captain drops him after a 1-yard gain. 2nd and 9 coming up.
And Miami's been unbelievable on those outside runs, sealing the edge and not letting Porter get space on the edge. As they did again there, Ty Wise and Matt Salopek, namely, have been swarming and really prevented a lot of the space on the outside that Northwestern has tried to get.
5:24 left to go, and a fake handoff for Wright, and he's got room. Running down the near side, Wright with a blocker, follows behind him inside the 40, and pushed out of bounds at the Miami 35. Mike Wright has just killed Miami with his legs today. They seemingly have not accounted for them at all, as that's a big gain to get into RedHawk territory to the 35. A fresh set of downs, 1st and 10 for the Wildcats as we move towards 5 minutes left to play, and now under it, Wildcats up 13-6.
We talked all week trying to figure out who Northwestern would go for this starting quarterback position, either Jack Lausch or Mike Wright, it seemed. And Mike Wright, the differentiator for him is the ability to use his legs, and we're seeing that come true here in this game.
Wright Fakes the run, now will take it himself right to the far side, and he's pushed out of bounds. Corbin Hondrew just put his hand on the back of Mike Wright to give him a final shove. It was a play fake, and Wright was actually looking to throw. It appeared like a check down to his tight end, Marshall Lang, who was following him the whole way. But Lang was blanketed, and they'll actually say now over the PA that Wright threw an incomplete pass.
It looked like he might have flipped that one forward just at the last second. It was a discussion between Wright and the far side official about something. Not quite sure what it was.
Looked like he was just going to give himself up and run out. But it does stop the clock. 2nd and 10 with 4:36 left to go for the Wildcats. Out of the pistol, Wright slings it far side, and a big hit on the catch. Henning made it, but he got upended into the legs. Luke Evans, who's been picked on a bit tonight, was ready that time, blasting that for no gain. It's 3rd and 10.
Yeah, Luke, for as much as Luke Evans has been picked on, as you said, these last couple possessions, he's been rock solid. On that last possession, he bottled up Kurtz on a corner route that has been plaguing this Miami defense all game long, and then right there, a beautiful open field tackle on a really talented receiver in A.J. Henning, who's great in the open field, which is why he's back on kicks and punts for this Northwestern team. And this is basically the game here for Miami. On fringe field goal range, if you're Northwestern, you need to get a stop here and not let them advance the ball.
3rd and 10, throw to the far side is complete, short of the sticks and swung down. Kurtz got inside the 30 to the 28-yard line of Miami. They'll mark him at the 27. He's 2 yards short, but for Northwestern, no brainer to kick this. They will try what is a pretty long field goal. Olsen has made a 45-yarder already today. His long is 47. This is from 44 with right to left wind, kicking from right to left. Ball on the right hash for the right-footed kicker with 3:13 left to go. Olsen takes a breath. Snap is back, hold is good. The kick is up, and it is no good. He pulled it wide left on a ball that was spinning end over end, but in the wrong direction, sideways. It misses the left upright. We saw one just barely sneak in there earlier in the game. Wind might have helped that one out as well for Miami's sake, and the RedHawks have life. 2:56 left to go in the 4th. Brett Gabbert and the offense return, down 13-6.
And that's exactly the possession that you wanted to see. 2:56 with 3 timeouts. Miami's got plenty of time to drive down this field. They can be as clinical, you would think, as they want.
Here we go. 6th year, Brett Gabbert trying to lead this offense. They have not scored a touchdown yet. Gabbert back to throw on 1st down. Stepping up, Gabbert will run down the far side. Gabbert slides just beyond the 30. They'll give him the 31 as it's a gain of 4 yards on 1st down for the Miami quarterback. Again, remember the 2-minute timeout also in play for the RedHawks, so even more reason to take time, make sure the signals are clean here. Miami will face a 2nd down and 6 from the left hash on their own 31. Gabbert's got 2 receivers both sides. Gets the snap again, looking to throw. Pressure off the edge. Gabbert throws near side. It is incomplete. He was looking for Andre Johnson, the Arizona State transfer. A tight window throw that was also deflected by Anto Saka. And it's 3rd down for the RedHawks.
I would expect Miami to try and attack that left middle side of the field that they've been able to kind of diagnose a little bit of space throughout this game. Northwestern has not really guarded that super well, and Brett Gabbert's been able to make some tight throws in those windows. And we'll see if they go there again on this play.
Pressure dialed up. Gabbert back to throw. Slings near side. It is caught by Johnson at the 42-yard line. 1st down. Same looking play, and this time the ASU transfer makes his 1st Miami catch beyond the 40 to the 42. 1st down, RedHawks.
It was just a great job to shield that defender that he felt on his back. Went down, protected the ball, and was able to haul that one in. on a huge third down conversion. And Johnson, who hasn't really been targeted as much as maybe we expected before this game, targeted on the last 2 plays, and on that last one, making a huge catch to prolong this Miami drive.
We have reached the 2-minute timeout. 2 minutes level left on the clock. Our score, Northwestern 13 and Miami 6. A clutch 11-yard catch for Andre Johnson to extend Miami's drive on third down. And with all 3 timeouts, the RedHawks will have it with a fresh set of downs from the RedHawk 42 when they come out of this timeout. We'll stay here for it. Again, we've stressed during this drive, Addison, plenty of time for this Miami team to do something, but if there's anyone that you could have in this situation for Miami, you just have to love that you have Brett Gabbert in this spot, a guy who's been here before.
Absolutely, and you said it, 6 different seasons where Brett Gabbert has been the starter for Miami coming into the season. And he's got the experience, he's played in big games, and last year, even before he got injured, led Miami to a 6-1 record before he went down in that Toledo game. And he's just the mainstay of this Miami program, and you want nobody else back there other than Brett Gabbert if you're Coach Chuck Martin leading this drive. And on the 42-yard line, 2 minutes to go, 3 timeouts. They've been able to get some rhythm going on the last drive, and so far a few completions to kind of get things going on this drive. They've showed some promise so far in this fourth quarter. And absolutely, as you said, just the experience. These are the moments when those years really shine through. And Miami is better set up than almost any team in the MAC to win a game like this. And we're going to see if they have what it takes to do it against a really talented Northwestern team. Won a bowl game against a really good Utah team last year. Returned a lot of those talented players in a season that they thought would even be lost last year.
Northwestern looking to start off on the right foot, Miami the same. However, much different tones. The upset-minded RedHawks into Evanston looking to complete a comeback to try and tie this game. Still plenty of work left to do for this Miami team. Out of the 2-minute timeout, new rule in college football, clock stops just like the NFL. A free timeout at the 2-minute mark of each half. Even 2 minutes left. RedHawks down 13-6. 1st and 10 Miami with the ball on their own 42. At the right hash, Brett Gabbert in the shotgun as he's got Dylan Downing to his left. 2 receivers either side for Brett, who claps and gets the snap. Time to throw. Gabbert over the middle, complete. It is Reggie Virgil that is swarmed out in Northwestern territory, but hung on to the football at the 46-yard line of the Wildcats. As that will go for a 12-yard completion and a RedHawk first down into enemy territory. Minute 50 and counting left to go.
A nice little concept there. A hitch route right below that slant left Virgil wide open on that right side.
Same formation for Gabbert, this time Downing to his right. Again looking to throw, and throws near side, again complete. Around a tackle goes Virgil, swimming forward near the marker. Did he get there? The clock is running for the moment, and they'll mark him short, I believe. No, now they say move chains. So now they might have to experiment with some, or discuss, I should say, clock a little bit. Clock has been running. It should have been stopped if the chains were moved, but regardless, now you're down to 1 minute and 11 seconds left to go, and the RedHawks lineup ticks. Gabbert claps, gets the snap, throws near side, complete to Downing to the exterior. He's pushed out of bounds by Xander Muller. And the clock will stop with 1 minute and 2 seconds left after a 1-yard catch by Downing to the Northwestern 35.
Miami is really attacking the short field. Northwestern's had a hard time covering it all game. It's when Miami has tried to push the ball down the field where they've had some issues, but Northwestern has not covered the intermediate part of the field as well as they have the deep part. And Brett Gabbert is diagnosing that beautifully pre-snap and finding the open receivers, and now they're going to open up 5 wide again and just let Gabbert go.
Haven't let him go for it all yet. It's 2nd down and 9. Gabbert claps, has the snap. Gabbert throwing over the middle. It's intercepted. Robert Fitzgerald just undercut that ball intended for Virgil.
This one is not over yet. Miami still has all 3 timeouts remaining, so there is an opportunity for them to get a stop here and get the ball back possibly.
down at the 25-yard line for the Wildcats in what was a tremendously promising drive for the RedHawks. Ends up coming short on a tight window throw gone awry from Gabbard. He was looking for that little hitch by Virgil and just tossed it about a yard too far to the inside where it was picked off by the covering DB.
It looked like he was expecting Virgil to cut across the field a little bit more on a slant, and Virgil just kind of nestled into a little bit of space there, but Fitzgerald did an unbelievable job jumping across and picking that one off.
57 seconds remain with Miami down a touchdown. Again, all 3 timeouts, so if they can get all the stops quickly, they can get the ball back, but they cannot afford a single first down. Right. On first down, he hands it off, and down the right side, Porter quickly to the ground, and quickly Chuck Martin calls T. 53 seconds left to go. Martin calls his first time out of the half with Miami down a touchdown, a gain of 2 on the play for Cam Porter. 2nd down and 8, resulting for the Wildcats from the right hash in their own 28-yard line.
It's just key for Miami to be rock solid in the front 7 here. There's no reason for Northwestern to even think about passing on any of these downs. And Miami has got to be thinking run. And they've got to wrap up and get Porter to the ground or Mike Wright. Wouldn't be surprised to see them go back to the read option here. They've been able to get Mike Wright in a lot of one-on-one situations with Bryan Agu, and Wright has gotten the better of Agu in that matchup.
Yeah, again, you got to account for the quarterback here, Mike Wright. He can run too. It's not just going to be a Cam Porter show. It could be, but that's something else to account for. Out of the gun again. This is a run, and it's Wright that pulls and takes it up the middle, and Wright's got room. He will slide at the 44-yard line, and that will put it to bed. That's a fitting end to this one. Miami just could not figure out Mike Wright's legs today. Through the air, 18 for 30 for 178 yards and no touchdowns. But the RedHawks just unable to keep the quarterback run game out of the question. And Mike Wright, credit to him, made Miami pay and delivers the dagger there. 47 seconds remain. Timeout RedHawks. But Northwestern cannot mathematically kneel, but just run a couple of plays, take 7 seconds on live balls off the clock. And that will be the end of this one. The RedHawks will return home to the bye week 0-1.
Miami did about everything you could ask for on the defensive side of the ball. They put a lot of pressure on Wright throughout this game, throwing the ball. They covered well on the back end. And it's just that one drive where Mike Wright was able to make a few play with his legs that is going to end up being the difference in this one. Not able to keep him in the pocket, despite putting a lot of pressure on him throughout the game. It was those times they weren't able to finish the play with either a sack or force him to get rid of the ball and throw it away. And it looks like they are just going to come out and try and take a knee and try and shave those seconds off that way.
And doesn't look like lookout. Now we got some jawing going on after the knee was taken, and this is just not what you want to see at this moment in time, especially for Miami with a huge game coming up in a couple of weeks, which is your next time out. Chuck Martin is screaming at his players off the Miami sideline, not happy at all. That's the most red in the face we've seen Chuck all day today, who's not using his timeout. Play clock never reset, although it should have. It was running way late. And according to the play clock, Northwestern doesn't have to run another play, although they're not coming off the sideline. Wildcats will just take another knee. Miami's not going to call timeout, and now, rather, the teams are just going to start shaking hands. Well, it was a valiant effort from this Miami group, but just a couple key plays away. Northwestern comes away with a Week 1 win, opening up their Lakeside Stadium with a 13-6 decision back into the win column against the Miami RedHawks after suffering a loss a couple years ago. Northwestern wins their opener, and the first win as the full-time head coach with no interim tech for David Braun in these Northwestern Wildcats, who will have a whiteout game here next week, taking on the Blue Devils of Duke in an intriguing ACC Big Ten matchup. For Miami, bye week next week. Rest, recuperate, study the film, got a big one coming up. As big of a game, in all likelihood, in the Miami-UC rivalry for a whole multitude of reasons as we've had in a long time. That comes your way in 2 weeks, home opener from Yager Stadium, and we'll, of course, have that game for you on Red Hawk Radio. The battle for the Victory Bell, one of the nation's longest-running rivalries, will be a noon kick coming up 2 Saturdays from now from Yager Stadium. Overall, Addison, again, a pretty good effort from this Miami team here today. The execution was off on a couple of plays, missed a field goal, needed some fine-tuning, and just couldn't find the end zone. Credit to this Northwestern team for taking advantage of a couple of opportunities. That's really all it took. But in all likelihood, although you were looking for a win, and it was certainly in the realm of possibility for this Miami team, this type of effort against a MAC opponent is going to be a big win. I think there's no question about that.
Yeah, absolutely. Miami stacked up defensively, as we've been talking about all game. They have the athletes to stack up against a team like Northwestern. Defensively, they were swarming to the ball, and it was really those 2 plays in Northwestern territory where Mike Wright was just able to create outside of the pocket and put a lot of pressure on that Miami defense. And then offensively, Miami was able to find a few things, I think, at the end of the game that kind of worked. They were able to attack the middle of the field pretty consistently throughout the game in the sidelines with Cade McDonald. I think I would have liked them to go towards Cade McDonald a few more times on the last drive of that game. Didn't really target him that much to conclude this one. But you got to be encouraged. Brett Gabbert looked pretty solid throwing the ball in his first game back from injury, and the defense was very solid against a quarterback who can put a lot of pressure on you with his legs, as Mike Wright did, but they were able to bottle up the passing game pretty well in this one.
So that'll wrap things up for Addison and I. We got full post-game coverage coming up momentarily, but thanks so much for tuning in here in week 1. This is our kickoff here of Red Hawk Radio, and of course we'll be back with another full year full of Miami athletic events. It should be a fun one. Football team's going to headline, but excitement on the basketball side, hockey side, plenty of other places as well, and we will bring that all to you throughout the next few months. We hope you will tune in like you did today. Thanks so much, Northwestern, for the hospitality. Seriously, we really appreciate it in a very tight space in this temporary stadium for accommodating us and getting everything figured out and getting us the stuff that we need. Northwestern sports information staff did a great job in getting us situated here so that we could come out here and cover this. And by the way, if you're a fan, you've only got a few years to see this stadium before the new Ryan Field, which will be beautiful, will come into play. But if you get the chance, you got to come out here to see a game. This is a pretty incredible facility from a fan standpoint. Very unique and carried a lot of hype and headline for good reason in the offseason. It has lived up to everything in person. This has been awesome. Just wanted to say that before we sign off here from Evanston. Once again, post-game coverage coming up on the other side of the break. We will be back in 2 weeks' time, 2 Saturdays, a noon kickoff. It's the battle for the Victory Bell in Miami's home opener, fresh off a win against UC last year for the first time in 16 years. RedHawks will look to make it 2 in a row against the Cincinnati Bearcats and move back in front in the all-time series, in a series that's been halted for now. There is going to be pride all over the place on the line in what should be a packed Yager Stadium in 2 Saturdays. Once again, September the 14th, Saturday, 11 a.m. kickoff show, 11:30 pregame, and kickoff at noon. We'll have that for you here on Red Hawk Radio in the battle for the Victory Bell over a century-old rivalry between the Miami RedHawks and the Cincinnati Bearcats. That'll wrap it up for Addison Lenhart and Luke West Poley with you. Thanks so much for tuning in. We'll see you in a couple weeks. Final score from Evanston is Northwestern 13 and Miami 6. This has been a presentation of Miami football on Red Hawk Radio, as our postgame is coming up next.
Welcome to the Red Hawk Radio post-game show here from Northwestern Medicine Field. Final score 13-6. Northwestern takes down Miami. And an entertaining first game for sure, Bryan, but Miami just couldn't have it here on the road.
Yeah, tough loss for Miami. It wasn't for a lack of effort. I mean, defense really showed up today. Offense with some big moments, just in the critical situations, weren't quite able to get it done. You know, like in the first half, they got a turnover, got good field position there. We're only able to get a field goal out of it. Had a nice drive there towards the end of the game. Chuck Martin deciding to kick the field goal on that 4th and 2, not go for the touchdown there. I mean, who knows? I mean, obviously, if they didn't get it, the game was probably over at that point, right? But, you know, if they're able to get the touchdown there, you're looking at like a 13-10 ball game perhaps, and perhaps that last drive, you're not necessarily looking for, you have to have a touchdown. You could call your plays a little bit differently and maybe settle for a field goal and try to get this game into overtime. But, you know, hindsight's 20/20. Coach decided to do what he did. They still had a chance to win it there at the end. Gabbert's throw a little bit off target, and Fitzgerald able to make the interception for Northwestern. It was a really good play by him. Northwestern's defense really showed up today, and that was really the play of the day today.
For the RedHawks, it really came down to that fourth quarter. I mean, it was coming down to the wire. That's where it kind of felt like the RedHawks were rolling offensively. It felt like they were having a good drive. They got a field goal with about 11 minutes left to go in that fourth quarter. Felt like they were going to get more, but just settled for the field goal. But, yeah, they were close. I mean, this is a Big Ten team at the end of the day. Don't want to necessarily give them a moral victory, but they held their ground against a Big Ten team, you know, especially coming on the road, hostile environment, brand new stadium. All these fans came ready, but Miami just a little bit short.
And I will say, I've never been to the old Ryan Field, but I definitely feel like Northwestern had a much better home field advantage here. It was sold out today, attendance 12,023. I know it doesn't sound like a lot, but these stands are literally right on the field. So you could definitely hear the noise in some of those situations. I think there's a few things that you could really build off of your Miami. We were talking about earlier, one of the receivers needs to step up to fill that hole that Gage Larvin left, and Cade McDonald really filled that role. 8 receptions on 9 targets, 105 yards, that's his career high, 59 yards after the catch as well. I think that's something you could really build off of. Next week you have the bye, which is pretty good. You get to rest up and then focus on which should be a much improved Cincinnati team. You get them at home, big rivalry game. You get to settle down, reset, relax, and get ready for the Victory Bell game.
It's going to be an exciting one, and for Miami, I'm sure they're happy that they have a little bit of a break to kind of tune some things up here for the battle for the Victory Bell coming up in 2 weeks from today. But yeah, final tallies for the RedHawks. Brett Gabbert, 22 for 37, 227 yards in the air, 2 interceptions, both in the fourth quarter. On the ground, the leading rusher, Brunson, 8 attempts for 33 yards. He was the leading rusher. Brett Gabbert didn't have any rushing yards. The leading receiver, like we talked about, Cade McDonald, career high, have himself a day. I mean, the RedHawks need a wide receiver one, and they may have found one in Cade McDonald. I mean, Miami, they got the turnovers, they got the fumbles, but just fell a little bit short, and they will hope to tune things up against Cincinnati in 2 weeks.
Sorry, one last thing. I just wanted to point it out. The rushing for Mike Wright, he ended up leading the Wildcats in rushing yards. He had 71 yards, 6 lost on sacks, so net 65 yards. And the touchdown, the lone touchdown of today's game was off of a Mike Wright little scramble improvisation type of play. So I think that was a big difference in this game as well, because Gabbert doesn't necessarily have that type of rushing ability that Mike Wright has.
He was impressive, and Northwestern will play Duke next week in a whiteout here in Evanston. Thanks so much for tuning in. Final score 13-6. Miami falls to the Northwestern Wildcats on the road here in Evanston. We will see you in 2 weeks for Miami versus Cincinnati, a really fun regional rivalry in the battle for the Victory Bell. Thanks so much for tuning in. Andrew Relvas alongside Bryan Miller with our other 2 broadcasters, Luke West, Poley, and Addison Lenhart. Thanks so much for tuning in. Signing off here from a sunny Saturday in Evanston. Thanks so much for tuning in, and we will see you in about 2 weeks for the next one.